wants 200, baby.
You ready to get back to the trading action?
You aim, you shoot, and make money.
It's going to be a great day. You guys know where you're at. Good morning, traders out there. How we doing? And looks like CPI sparking the rally, the fuel that this rally needed to get to all-time highs. I think it just got it. We'll talk all about it. Let's get to the action. Let's take a look at what's going on right now. You guys can see the reaction right now in the SPY. It's been pushing here. It's up to 606 and a big push off. Of course, where do we reject? The trend line that we've been talking about for how long now, guys? I mean, it's just been this move, right? Where every time it comes back, we just push off of it. Now we're expanding away on the top end of the Bollinger Band, telling me that we're on breakout city here. Now all-time highs within reach today, I feel like. And that's exactly what I'm calling for. We'll see if we can ride this momentum in the intraday. Already some trades on for me. I got HIMS on in the pre-market here, and I also got that Grail position that's up almost 5% from yesterday. So really good position there as the market rips higher. This is the way I think we continue to look to see things pushing. AMD, of course, one of my favorite swing trades since from the 116, just continuing to lift off now towards 124. Ton of names in the green. We got a lot to talk about. What happened there? Of course, CPI coming in light, and it's a rip towards the upside. As you guys see it here, CPI for May at 0.1 versus a 0.2 estimate. So a little bit underneath the expectation there. And year over year expectation at 2.8 versus the 2.9 estimate, telling us more and more. Yeah, we are seeing that inflation come down here. And of course, these are CPI numbers, right? They're not necessarily where we would see the inflation of tariffs. And I think that that's the important part to kind of keep in mind in the long run. But this does give the perspective to go ahead and rip higher, get to all-time highs that everyone's been waiting for. And like I said yesterday, those down actions like we were seeing, right? Hey, they were just excuses to get in yesterday. There you have it, now going towards the 605. We'll take a look at what stocks are maybe leading off of this, but let's get to the playbook action. There's some stocks there that we can talk about. First one up, of course, is Grail, so we'll get right to it. I'm not even going to play the video. I'm just going to keep going, guys. Let's keep moving. Grail up there to 42.50. Of course, this is one of my top swings. I've been in it since 40.57. We're towards 42.60s here on the offer. If it takes that 42.60s, we're looking really good here, guys. I'm going to be looking for a rip towards 45. That's another 2.5 points, another 6%. If I could get up towards closer towards 10% on Grail, I'll take the money and run. This seems like a great trade for me. I just got to let it run and take the money. We'll see what happens there. HIMS now going in the green there for me as it starts to push off this 55.48. I'm long on HIMS. We'll see if this can continue. Nice cup and handle pattern that I'm looking for a rip back up here towards 59. So that's why I took it in the pre-market, because I feel like it could just run away right now, get to like 56 before the open. If it's at 56 before the open, I can just hold break even and let this bad boy run. We'll see what happens there in HIMS today, and look for momentum names to really push. We'll see what happens in some other action out there. We can go to the Qs and the SPY to see what's leading. But of course, let's go to more on the playbook. Ion Q also on my radar, already lifting here. 42 is the big watch. We're already getting up there this morning. It got the pop. It's holding the trend line breakout here. That's what I really like. It has a nice little break above this. Now, any pullback into this area could be a nice area to kind of get in, 41.60s. And we'll look for this to rip higher, start to break through the daily chart, still looking really well here. And I'm going to look for this to keep on pushing on right now. Let's go to the hourly. You can see here on the hourly how that's starting to get back above there, looking strong. Really needs to make a move up in here into the 43 and 44 to really start going. But of course, quantum names have been hot. So this is on the radar with QUBT and other names ripping to the upside. There was one short outlook I had, and then I'm going to watch to see if this is probably going to turn around because of the way that the trade is doing, which is this undercut on the GEV. I was wondering, are we going to make a move to the 50 EMA? At this point, with the way that the market's moving, I don't think it'll happen today. This could actually recover back to 500. 200. So if anything, I'm going to throw that trade idea in the trash. And this is very important, traders, as sometimes we need to be able to do this. We need to be able to understand what environment we're in. And the CPI report this morning just changed it all. So I don't have to stress so much about what's going on here. And just to kind of help out here, I'm going to do a little bit deeper research here on the CPI report. I think this is very important to do, guys. If you guys don't do this already, just actually going towards the actual U.S. labor statistics and actually getting the CPI report so that you guys can dive deep about what's happening here. And that way we can look at the seasonal adjustment chart, right? That's a lot of the times what I'm looking at. I'll take some assessment with kind of AI a lot of the times to try to help me. But what I'm looking at, right? What we're looking at is the adjustment from April to May. A lot of times I'm focusing on that. And what do we see? We see gasoline came down big, right? That's down 2.4, 2.6. So gasoline is helping that inflation come down. The most important part is this right here, guys, the shelter. Because shelter has not wanted to move at all. If anything, it's just stayed at this 0.3. And you can see it. It's staying at that 0.3. It's majority of what is coming from that inflation. There is some downtick here, but as you can see, food actually upticked. Right. So in the long run, I think this is just to do with more of deflation coming from oil. Yes, that's what I'm seeing right here. Of course, I have to do a little bit deeper sign here, but it does say about food and energy. The index for energy decreased 1% in May after rising 0.7 in April. The gasoline index decreased 2.6% over the month before seasonal adjustment. Gasoline prices decreased 0.7 in May. The index for natural gas decreased also 1%. I think this is where we're getting a majority of that down move as the energy index decreased 3.5% in the past 12 months. So that's what you're seeing. That's where you're getting that inflation downturn. So you have to keep your eyes to see how oil is reacting to see if we get some further deflation from oil. All right, that's going to be enough for some plays action. Let's get to the sunrise report, talk about some of that action, and keep things moving. You know where you're at. It's Trade the Pool. Smash that like, and let's move into the sunrise report. All right, stock futures, we're slipping on Wednesday morning early on as the U.S. and China had reached trade policy consensus and investors awaited May consumers inflation report. As we can see, came in light there. The futures were down 0.2, 0.3% for the NASDAQ and the S&P 0.2. Dow futures were down 0.3. Now it's all about the trade deal watch, right? U.S. and China officials concluded a second day of high-level talks in London, reaching the frameworks of an agreement to resolve trade tensions. U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Ludwig said that the trade representatives, Jason Greer, would return to Washington to brief President Trump and give deal points that included China's to approve exports of rare earth minerals, U.S. to roll back advanced tech sales restrictions. Officials noted that while the consensus was reached, unresolved details still need approval from President Donald Trump and President Xi. The framework follows a May agreement that temporarily suspended new tariffs and rolled back some of the old ones. Analysts cautioned, though, that the deal is held together by leverage rather than mutual interest, raising the potential for future disruptions. China's state media were slow to confirm the news and eventually citing Vice Commerce Minister Li Chenggan. Vice Premier Lifegun also said that he's key participant and that they were stating that their talks were kind of mutual, they were respectful, and that they're moving in the right directions. I felt like the U.S. was a little happier about these talks than others, but something to keep an eye out, right? Quantum stocks are definitely getting the move. We got to continue to watch to see how these quantum stocks move. That's why I'm watching IonQ also today to see if they can keep pushing. After QUBT pushed 8% yesterday and Rigetti 4%. And I was watching for this move right out the gates. Rigetti looking good too here off the 12s. So this is also on the radar today. I'd be watching Rigetti, IonQ. They're definitely on the radar. And a day like today that we could just get the push up in the market, just get a continued rip higher. This is going to be a really good day to watch the opening action out the gates. All right, guys, we'll continue to see what happens with, of course, kind of the tariff situation. Those are the things that kind of keep talking about, keep taking a look at. We'll see what happens out there. I don't know what happened there. Here, I'll help out my friend. Sorry about that, guys. I'm watching in the background. So I just got to maybe bring back this version history. All right. Well, I'll do this in the background, helping somebody out that's checking out the sunrise report in the background here. But let's keep it going, guys. We'll see what happens with Rigetti. We'll see if it can push back above the 12s. Definitely a good stock to keep an eye out here. Hims is not really taking off here. I'm just kinging in off the 55s right now. I'm looking for this to rip out the gates here. We'll see if it can hold the 55. I even have an ad down towards 54.92 that I'm actually cancel right now. If it comes back to 55, that could be an ad. We'll see what happens here. I'm really looking for Hims to kind of take off through the 55.50s. We got back up there for a slight second. We were up about 25 bucks. We're looking for that to continue to run and keep pushing towards the upside. We'll see what happens in Hims, Palantir, other momentum names. I'm already seeing Grail moving higher. That's making me feel real good about that position. We'll see if that can continue to push. Look at that 42.75 now. Looking good there in Grail. SMR trying to take off the 35s. This looks great here for NNE. I'll be looking to get NNE today. But it could take off without me. So I might have to step up here in the pre-market and then just look to add in on pullbacks because I definitely don't want to miss this NNE, but I'll be looking for it, guys. Maybe I take the swing on this as we've been doing really good in the swing trade account. All right, guys, let's keep it going. We'll see what else is out there, and it's time to keep pushing on, guys. We'll see what happens here towards the market open now, really up on Grail. And looking for the SPY to see if we want to continue to run. Will we make a pullback here to the VWAP? It's potentially could happen here. I'll be watching him to see what happens here. In just a few minutes, we'll be joined by, of course, Michael Noss. We'll get into some other action out there. Smash the like. Smash the like. All right. Let's go, guys. I'm trying to catch up with you guys in the chat. What's going on out there? Do you guys got any small cap, any names you guys want to take a look at? Archer. Consolidated moving on news. Let's go ahead. Let's take a look. I actually like Archer. Of course, we got some news that came out of another drone player. We'll talk a little bit about that. That came out of actually Ouster for LiDAR action. And this is pulling back right now on the EMA. This actually looks really good here. Really good opportunity here at Ouster. I'm going to try to take this on the swing account. Let me go ahead and get there. I got to hurry up and get there, guys. I'm trying to get Ouster here on the swing to the upside. This came on news for LiDAR. They got an approval for kind of a drone technology that I really like the outlook here. I think this could pull back to the 18, but I don't mind taking a shot here. It would be a $3 run to the upside, which wouldn't be a bad move here. I'll take a shot here. I'll take 50 shares here. Let me see if I can get a fill here. Seeing some off exchange data came in there. I'm just trying to get a fill here closer towards 18. But we'll see if I can get a fill down here on Ouster. Ouster, of course, news this morning. So this is a really nice setup there. But Archer had some news, and that's also getting the lift. This is actually was on the radar yesterday for the push higher with Joby. So look for Joby to continue leading the party and Archer to kind of play a little catch up. I like these names right here. I definitely keep an eye out on RCAT to see if this wants to just rip out today and go to 10. And from some other ones like UMAC, right? They're all in play. These drone players are hot right now, and it's all about being on themes. I think it's very important to stay on them. Grab, check. Grab, check. Yeah. Grab, of course, is not a bad one. Not a bad one. I think it's holding on right now. Let's go to the weekly. I think this is what you'd like to look at is look at the weekly. If anything, even the monthly right now. It's just showing you that it's stuck between this, right? So there's wicks. Every time it comes up in this level, it's getting the sell signal. Around the 5 especially, it's getting a sell signal. So right now, I think you got to wait to see an actual move above that 5 and look for supports just to keep holding on. So you might get the undercut, the squat before the rally. And that's one thing that I'd be a little bit concerned on. Is this just a fake out towards the 460s, 450s, and then a move back through 5? But it's struggling every time we're getting above 5 here. And if anything, it could be on the downside. And is there news related to this grab? I'll take a look here just in my Benzinga Pro to see if it's news related. Yeah, it upsized. This is it. This is not what you want to see. So essentially, they're trying to raise more money. So they did an upside to the convertible, $1.5 billion here. So that's the headline that I'm seeing. Definitely something that you want to take a look at there. Upsided the convertible notes to $1.5 billion. And it actually had announced this. And it actually wanted more. It announced just yesterday a 1.25 billion, and they raised it to 1.5, meaning that they want more money or can get more money. This might cause some liquidity to where it actually starts to come down, some dilution, and it comes down to these levels and tries to regain the move that it was doing. I don't feel too confident about this name, especially after hearing that offering. It would be a little bit of a scary sign to me, especially near the support break. We'll see what happens there. Let's keep taking a look at some other stocks in the market, and then we'll be getting towards the market in just a second here. Let me bring on Michael Noss here. There's my man. What's going on? How we doing, man?
Oh, we're doing another great day to be a bull.
Yeah, man. It looks like CPI is having a little rally there, of course, off of the lower CPI. Let us know what you're seeing in the market, some setups, especially leading into the open. I'll be right back for just a second, guys. I'm going to let Michael take lead here.
Sure thing. So, yeah, just it's a good time. I'm probably going to do a video about this on my own channel after we're done here. It's a good time to do a bit of a retrospective of what happened during that bear market, and if you're still bearish and still looking for the end of the world because you missed it. We are a couple ticks from all-time highs. So it's one of those, when we get to all-time highs, I think you got to do the question of, are you a perma bear? I think that's going to be the title of the video, because if you are still bearish after this move, then you may be a perma bear, and I'm sorry in that case. But everything's looking great. We had a nice breakout. We were saying, hey, wouldn't it be nice if the market recovered and rested a little bit until we had this news event. And if the news event comes in better than expected, which it did, we kind of rally from there. So the real question, the thing that everyone's got to kind of ask themselves today is just, are we going to hold those gains? Sorry, just setting up here some trade stuff. But if we're going to hold those gains, then we're looking good, right? It's one of those things that we're if we hold the gains today, not only have we broken out of that base, not only are we at or near all-time highs, but we did so with positive, economic catalysts, things that you could kind of put your finger on, not just supply and demand, but supply and demand and positive economic catalysts, which is, again, fantastic. What else do you want? The economy to be good. Nintendo is selling more Switches than they ever thought imaginable, which isn't something that happens when consumers slow down and things like that. So a lot of things pointing to strength. A lot of the market is agreeing with us here. When I'm going through and just kind of looking at pretty much everything, we have the IWM up nearly 1% today. And that is just so rare to see the IWM do so well. That's something that I've been pointing out here for the entire week, and I think you need to kind of continue with, because if the little guys are doing well, then the big guys almost certainly have to be doing well at some point. So if we go and just look at some of these sectors, we have everything doing fantastically. We have bonds up, which means rates are down. We have XBI, which is our home builders. Those are doing fantastic. It's not something you see if the economy is going to hell, is the people who build homes ripping. We have oil still doing well. We have energy doing well. Semiconductors, nice 0.5% gap on semiconductors. Not quite near all-time highs, but getting close to this breakout here. Everything is lighting up on all cylinders. So that makes my strategy a little bit complicated, because, as you guys know, I look to fade gaps. That's what I've tested, and that's what works for me. So when the whole market is ripping up like this, it becomes way harder to find those gaps that I really want to end up fading. Let's hit this one. Sorry, just fixing the bot, making sure the bot is good to go. There we go. So if we go into the screener here and we rerun this and just refresh this, some of these we already know about, like Rigetti, I'm sure was talked about a little bit. That one I potentially like the short on here just because it's up into this prior resistance area, and these things are underperforming the market, not outperforming. So that's something that I'm going to keep an eye on here. Sorry, just setting everything up on here. This is usually what I spend that first few minutes doing, is just going through and making sure all my alerts are set up correctly. This is something that I did that Discord webinar about, which I think we're going to put up on the channel at some point, but just show that the first step to systematic trading is this kind of stuff, right? Go through and make sure all your alerts are set, and everything will let you know. A lot of the other stuff is just names that we know. All right, we know are just going to be high flyers anyway when the market is a high flyer. Like if we look at Nvidia, the Qs, right? Tesla. Tesla's really killing, putting the screws on the bears here. Just goes to show you that, right, this isn't something you'd want to be fading too much. For my long-term account, I did buy a little bit as we pulled back into this kind of box that I had drawn for you guys. It just seems like 250 to 300. That's where the buyers think that that's a good price in order to take a trade on. So I'm not going to fight them by any means. But yeah, so I think I'm going to do a lot of focusing on the actual market itself. So we talked about yesterday how the exact opposite thing made sense yesterday, right? I wasn't interested in focusing on the market yesterday because the market wasn't doing anything. Therefore, all the correlations had essentially gone to zero. In this case, we're getting the market doing a lot. Therefore, those correlations are going to ramp back up. So you're going to see more stocks participating with the market, more stocks moving market dependent than they did before. Some of these, right, these lower float ones, Grab, which is Uber of the somewhere, right? Some of these maybe lower float ones will move a little bit more independently. But if you guys weren't trading through the most recent bear market, that was like last month right here, you notice that we were focused way more on the overall market than potentially individual names. And it's because two reasons. One, the market gave you a lot of juice to play with, so you didn't need a lot of these other names. And then also those correlations ramping up. So the fact that you had correlations essentially hitting one, which is just a fancy way of just saying everything was moving together. That's the environment that I think we're in here now, where we're going to get a lot of the bigger names. Pretty much everything is going to move with the market because the volatility has increased a bit. We've had this massive range. We're outside of most of the market. And again, we got there with positive economic data, which, again, I am very excited to go on Twitter and see how the perma bears spin this one as being bearish. It will be very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really the bearish, but it's just oil. Well, I looked a little deeper in there. The coming down was just the oil coming down. So we just watch to see how oil kind of moves further. If it keeps going down, that's good for the CPI number. And I think what a lot of people got twisted is they're expecting tariffs to show up in the CPI print when it would actually show up more in the services at first and kind of leak into the CPI report way down the line.
You don't think the PhD in economics that work at Goldman Sachs expected that? You know what I mean? I always look at this is why I give less.
I think it's kind of like, is it what they like? We got to listen to what they're doing than what they're saying, because what they're saying is something else, right?
Well, the estimates come through, and the estimates are an aggregate of the largest banks out there, which is an aggregate of, right, obviously, if you are top of your class in economics, you're going to Goldman Sachs, right? You're very rarely going in. It's one of the reasons why government is usually doesn't have the best of the best when it comes to finance and everything like that, and programmers, because you're going to get paid more. So the way I look at it is that number is a culmination of PhD and economics nerds out there. I think they probably expect that, right? So it's one of those that I just think the number was a little bit different than what they expected, but I'm pretty sure they knew that, right, when tariffs are going to show up on that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think this was just the excuse the market was looking for to rip higher.
yeah.
And so it's not necessarily about the number. It's more about, can you get the opportunity to rip it higher? I mean, you just did. Now today's just the day where it's like, okay, well, do they really send it? Because I think today's the day. If they really want to, I think they could reach all-time high today.
Well, we know the large institutions are not very long, so they need to play that catch-up play. They were short as of, yet last week, and they just flipped long. So there's a lot of buying that has to happen in order to have the large institutions kind of catch up here. So I'm very interested. Again, I think I was saying when you were gone, this is one of those times that I think all investors have to do a little retrospective, right? Did you panic out at the bottom and didn't get back in? Are you still finding excuses in your brain to say what's going on is not a bull market and in fact bearish? If so, right, you got to do a little thinking, because the market's going to go up 75% of the time with or without you. I know there's a lot of traders I know that are having that conversation with them right now that puked out at the bottom and the whole way up, some sort of disbelief, right? An excuse of, oh, this is just, this or that or the other thing. And they missed, now not only are we positive on the year, we're almost at all-time highs, which would mean if anybody is down on their portfolio, if you're not at all-time highs equities, it's time to have a big, long conversation with yourself and say, well, what's going on here? What am I doing wrong?
Yeah. And I think we'll be seeing what happens once we get to that all-time high. Can we get to it today? We'll find out. Ain't too far off of it. We'll have to wait and see.
Qs for sure. SPY's got a little bit to go. Poor IWM may never get back to all-time highs, but it's doing really well today. But the small caps just can never get it going. But yeah, 0.62% up on the SPY on the small caps, doing better than the Qs and the SPY. That is super interesting to me. Just showing that there is an expectation of potential lower rates that would help, or some sort of environment that will help the little guys, which good job, little guys. This is very important to me because the ultimate breadth indicator is the IWM, because it's, people look at breadth when it comes to the what's going on in the S&P 500. I like to use the IWM for breadth just because it's 2,000 stocks. There's a lot of stocks here, so you don't need a big fancy to go crazy with your breadth indications. All you got to do is look at the IWM. If this is participating, it means a little mom and pop shop is doing well, right? So was worse on the way down. The average little mom and pop shop was down 30%. Now is up on the year, but still, again, a long way to go. So 10-12% to get to all-time highs here on IWM. So yeah, Qs most definitely, maybe in the next few days, in the next couple of weeks for sure. SPY got a little bit further to go. The Dow is really far down, but this has a lot to do with UNH, right? There's only 30 components in the Dow, and one of them, a big one, is UNH. And so the small caps moving, that's the thing that I'm going to focus on a little bit today. So I was telling everybody, because the market is, picking up in volatility, I'm going to spend a lot of my time, I think, focus on individual market moves, because I think you can get enough juice there as opposed to going too far down.
Rigetti breaking the resistance. We talked about 1210. Nice little break there, the 1210 towards the 1220s. I've been watching this setup, really nice setup here. And you could tell the volume got in there. 74,000 shares at 1210. So just to give you that perspective, that's why I watched bigger orders. I caught that. I could clearly see they're buying through that 1210. It's already to 1225, right? If I had the day trade size, I would go ahead and go after this name, but I don't. I have the HIMS position, so that's taking up the kind of the buying power this morning, but that's a really nice break. Already a 17-cent break there, with the momentum continuing. Volumes loading in here now. 13,000 shares just went through at 1225. That could have been someone selling some. But yeah, you can see a lot of volume flowing through here on Rigetti. Not a bad move at all. I did take a swing in Ouster. I don't know if you saw that news this morning.
LiDAR news. I just like the setup here. Good news on the stock that's pulled back there. But Rigetti, what are you thinking about these quantum names? Are you going after these again?
Yeah, if they fade, I'll definitely look to take the shorts on them. Right, a lot of them are getting.
Yeah, you don't like these long anymore here.
Well, right, it's getting back up all into this junk, and it's got the gap here. So if it moved in the morning, it fails at the gap and rolls over, that'd be good. I own in my long term still some QBTS. Right,
You still got some of that.
I bought some breakout here at 11, and I've just got my stop below this base now. So for long term, these things could chop, but I look at these as it's very hard for me to find things as somebody who fade gaps, right? That's the strategy that I'm running with and the one that's working for me. When the whole market gaps, that becomes a little bit harder, right? So that's why I'm going to focus a lot on the Qs, maybe take a couple shots there. But it's probably going to be a fairly inactive day for me. And this is one of those where this is the benefit of being a swing trader and a day trader, because I know it's going to be a very inactive day for me day trading because I'm fading gaps and everything's gapping. So it'll probably just be, maybe an SQQQ or whatever trade. But I'm fine with that because my swing trading account is going to be doing phenomenally, right? I haven't even opened it today. I don't want to get too hyped, but the market gapping up and out of this range, I know I'm up a fair amount to my swing trading account. So that's one of those that, even though it might be a chill day for me on the day trading side of things, I'll be okay with that because I got a lot going on the swing trading side.
Yeah, man. QUBT up 15. I think that was 15% in the pre-market. Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. My watch list is led by quantum already. And I talked about IonQ, really nice setup through the 42s. We're going right towards the 42s right now. So IonQ, I think, is the kind of the lagged one here, and it's the best of breed in quantum, at least for sure. And that's all they do. They didn't make up something to become quantum or something like that. So I always focus on this one. This one needs to stay strong, and it had a okay day yesterday, but nowhere near as much as like the other ones ran, right? Like QUBT and Rigetti, and actually QBTS was probably the better move yesterday. So now you're getting that right there. You just broke 42. Now you're getting above the 42.25s. You just breaking towards the upside. Now you're starting to get a nice reversal there. IonQ. These quantum names, of course, got support yesterday with NVIDIA. So I would just watch to see them continue pushing. There's really no negativity to look into these stocks today. Good catalyst yesterday, good support of the market action. As long as the market can continue ripping higher, I could see these ripping today. And this is a day for me where you got to know when the days to hit the gas pedal. This could be a gas pedal type of day, at least in the day trade side. Like I could already tell you guys, like this is the days where I want more buying power and I want to take it in the pre-market. I would already want to be long some names, not waiting to the open, because a lot of times we're getting this action like we are right now, where the stocks are ripping and now they're 60 cents away in the last 5 or 10 minutes on IonQ. How do I go after this now? Right. I have to chase essentially the open if I want to get in, right? Or be so patient that I'm getting a big sweep back, but then you get that big sweep back and then you're feeling a little bit more pressure, right? Because you're seeing a lot of red come right at you, right? So
everything you're describing is the reason that I'm a systematic trader, right?
And pre-market trading is
right?
important, right? You need the cash, you need the availability. I have some, but not enough right now.
I've been finding more and more because my bot for my personal account works in the pre-market after my buddy who built it made a couple adjustments, and it's been doing way better because of it, because it's catching some of these moves that sometimes it just ripped. And because I'm not trading low liquid names, right? I'm trading high liquid names. It
high
makes
liquid, low size, so you're not stressing either. And when you get the best like kind of pre-market entries, I'm telling you, sometimes the setup's already there. By the time the open comes, you're like moments away from profit take. Versus how a lot of traders get to trying to open that position there, which is completely the opposite. So sometimes these moves are going to move too much in the pre-market, and that's just it. It's the move. The move's already been done. And so that's why you have to be up early. You have to be ready. And that's why I think it's so important if you are some of those traders that are looking for strategies, test a little bit more in the pre-market and after hours to see if maybe you just find a niche inside of trading, right? And I
If
think that some people are could really switch there.
yeah, if I were to if I was to be a discretionary trader, right, and I didn't want robots to do it all for me, I would probably do just that. I'd probably come up with a system that traded exclusively in the pre-market. Like as soon as the
Yeah, less robots, man.
yeah, as soon as the bell went off, I would be done for the day. That would be the strategy that I would do. Is I would trade. I know a couple traders that do that already, and that's the robots is the very reason is that you can't be like you see how much stocks wiggle around. There's people out there who are trying to buy and put a stop like 5 cents away. You can't do that stuff with the systems nowadays because they just jiggle stocks around so much. But when you get clean moves in the pre-market because there's no bots with them, sometimes you could get away. Like RGTI would be a perfect example. If you bought this momentum break at like 1205, 1206, you could put a stop at under 12 and be very confident that there's not an HFT system that's going to be getting you in or out. The moves are just much more cleaner because they're retail driven. They're not institutional driven. And retail will do dumb things like chase a stock that's just ripped 10%. They'll do that, whereas institutions won't. So institutions will just pull all bids if a stock's up too much and wait for it to come back down. So yeah, it's a different feel, I guess, is a good way to put it, of the market where they're looking for different things to occur. So yes, if I was to do it again and I was just going to be a pure discretionary guy, I would just do the pre-market. But when you get a bot doing it for you, it's like, why not trade all the time?
All right, guys, let's run through some more names here. I'll share my screen and then we'll just run through some names. We're getting close. It's about 15 minutes for the bell. So many nice names. And this is those types of days where you just have to pick what you like, right? Because there's going to be so much going on unless you have a good bot to take them all. But yeah, are we starting to hedge in intermediate hedges? I honestly, I don't feel like that's needed at this point. Like at some point, what I think is going to be important is starting to look at potentially what is overextended and maybe trading some to the downside. But I think at the certain point, we're just riding the momentum and going to continue to ride it until it actually breaks.
One of my favorite trading sayings that I love to repeat all the time is, if you can't survive the bull market, you'll never survive the bear market. And it just rings through with so many traders that the market could just be ripping day after day, hitting new all-time highs, and they're not making money. And it's like, well, if you're not going to make money now, you're not going to make money during a bear market. We just saw one. It's not as easy as just shorting a bunch of stuff and make a bunch of money. So that's my theory on hedging, is that you're capping the potential upside. We're just breaking through new all-time highs. Do some homework. Go back and see what happens after a bear market when the market gets to new all-time highs, and zoom out and see how many times that, getting crazy with hedging and stuff would have missed, 50, 60, 100% moves in the market, just because you're, a little bit worried about something. So I would just, if you're long, if you got a bunch of good stuff, get some sort of trailing exit point, get some way you're going to trade it. And then until those happen, just sit back and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I'm thinking about is, when would the turn kind of make sense? So to me, if there's anything going to be kind of leading towards it, I'm going to be watching to see what happens with option expiration coming up next week, as we get the kind of the quad witch to kind of come in. Those can be turning points, but other than that, I'd have to break all-time high and start to see a slowing down of the momentum, right? So a break of all-time high and then sideways consolidation would get me to the point. But I think at the end of the day, when the market does come back down, it's going to be probably because of some type of news event, and it's a huge gap down overnight. So I think we wait for that moment, then we can look to start looking for hedging shorts. But that's just the way that I'd approach it. Kind of a show me move, right? We talk about these show me versus me try to front run. Right now, I think front running to the short side is a bad situation in the long run. It's okay to be overnight short. I kind of understand that in certain positions, right? Like you're just like, this is overextended. I'm just going to see if it comes down tomorrow. But there's a whole nother outlook to think that you're going to get this big pullback that you see on the chart. The truth is that might not come, at least for the time being.
So that's a good summary. Short weakness, not strength, right? It's trend trading.
Yeah,
It works.
I agree.
Well,
and right now we're seeing trend trading, right? So stick with the trend. The trend's your friend until it isn't. Until that happens, then we'll worry about it. But for right now, the trend's your friend. Like
and just
right?
just accept you won't catch the top and you won't catch the bottom. And if you hear anybody, if you're in any other streams and they're saying they're doing that, they're lying to you. So run, right? You're trying to get that meat in the middle. And right now, we don't know where the middle is, but right now it looks like we're in the middle, and eventually we'll have some sort of a black swan event. And it's always by definition, it's always something that people are not seeing coming. That makes sense in retrospect, but not in prospect. And until there's some sign that the market's going to go down.
This is a stock I'd avoid today, right? This is a stock below the short moving average and actually below the 50 moving average. You're looking for names that are closer towards the top end, right? Those moving averages that keep holding, the short pullbacks that just keep riding along to the upside, right? ETHU. That's on alert today. We'll see what happens. We'll see if we can get some big breakouts there. ARM is pushing. AMD is pushing, right? Coin is right on that 9 EMA. It's one that I'll be watching today. And then Palantir just pushed back above it. Maybe you get a new break to the upside there. AMAT continuing the stair step higher. KLAC, the semiconductor equipment and materials, I think are making the move because of what's coming out of the talk with China and the trade talk with the U.S. And we could still get that news today. Trump said that the deal is done. I don't believe him, but at the same time, we're going to be looking to see more information. What if we get already a ramp-up period in the intraday, then get that news, that China deal on top of it? Yes, that's why I'm feeling all-time highs today, guys. I don't think there's too many people going to be calling for it, but I'm going to be trading and seeing what we can make money on that look here. Especially looking to see if we can really kind of take off in a lot of these names. There's so many names that could just kind of push right back up. GEV was one name. They broke the 9 yesterday. Let's see if it goes right back up. Like CEG is like right there on the 9. Let's see if these just take off today, right? These nuclear plays, do they just take off today? That shows you more and more momentum staying with these names. Quantum, nuclear, drones. I mean, how many themes are we having trading right now? We got AI. We got those healthcare AI names. I'm still having Grail. That's looking good. Tempest. Man, everyone's loving Tempest now. Now everybody loves Tempest. That's how it goes, guys. But now I think we just kind of look for the bigger breakout. And that's why I talk about the monthly chart with this thing. I think this is trading on the monthly chart more than anything. And now has people really kind of reloaded back below this, looking for a move back towards 91.45. I think eventually Tempest could be a triple-digit stock. We'll see what happens there in Tempest AI. All right. Lenny, look on the chat there. I seen Roku is even back in favor. Shows you what? Momentum. Roku is a momentum name.
There's a 2 times leverage. Oh, of course, there's a 2 times leverage TEM. Why not?
There should be.
Again, talk to your boy. I don't want a 2 times leveraged Tempest AI. I want a 2 times leveraged UNH, a 2 times leveraged like GE. Like
nobody wants that, man.
Give me this. I want leverage on slow stuff. I don't want leverage on crazy stuff.
I'm just not a fan of this whole ETF game. I'm with you, man. But we won't get into it, man. That's just pointless, man. To tell you the truth.
Well, especially I know there's leveraged like quantum computing and stuff like this. Like it again, to each their own. It's hurting more people than it's helping, but that's on them, right? They're adults, they're going to the market. But give me leverage on not just we have them on the Qs and the SPY and all that, but if you're looking for leverage, right?
Yeah.
You should be looking for leverage on stocks that don't move, and then you should be using the base stock on stocks that are crazy, right? Again, give me leverage on UNH, and I'll be trading stuff like that all day long.
Oh, Steph saying something in the chat there. I'll bring a little sports. We don't talk to sports, but Steph talking about all I'm sure right now is that Edmonton Oilers winning the Stanley Cup. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm a big Cats fan, and I think the Cats would probably win it. But I did just tell my man Dennis Dick that I give him the cup this year since the Cats won it last year. So we'll see if the Oilers take it. They're down 2-1. Let's see if they bounce back after last game that was pretty ugly. But looking around here to see what about Tesla, man? Elon went soft on us. He got soft, man.
I own a bunch of Teslas, so whatever he's doing, I want him to keep going. I reloaded in the
he's a softie now, man.
280s,
what happened to the tough Elon that we had 2 months ago?
I like the one that makes me money more. That's the only Elon I care about.
No, I like the one that actually stands up for good, man. Stands up to what he believes in. But hey, to each his own, right? To each his own. Maybe I should have just bought the 286. I'd be joining your party and saying I was actually thinking about buying the 286 on that first down day. Wouldn't be looking too bad at that point. It's about 15% away. But yeah, Elon definitely getting soft, deleting tweets, saying what he said was bad. I just wonder how much did Trump threaten the guy, man? Holy moly.
Or he saw the stock price, right? He lost a couple $1 billion.
Not even the stock price, man. This had to be a threat of FSD, man. I will tell you that right now. The one way that you could hurt Elon right now is what? Push back on robo-taxis. Push back on FSD. If you did that, Elon would get destroyed. I think the stock goes to 100. And so I think that's what happened. I think Trump came knocking on the door and said, hey, you know that I run the show here, right? I could take FSD and autonomous driving and completely throw it in the trash if I want to. I could limit your growth easily. You have a robo-taxi event coming up. Do you want me to make your life a living hell?
Yeah.
That's what happened, man. We all know it. There's only one way that you go and you back down from literally threatening the president with legal matters about the Epstein files and how he's in them and things like that, and then get it pulled down. So, I think Elon's going to be a good little boy moving forward.
Well, and that's the price is reflecting, right? As soon as the lovers' quarrel stopped, it ripped back up. So again, I don't care what he's saying. I obviously don't follow.
It's on the ride for robo-taxi now. Right? No, you're golden, Michael. This is actually a big positive move for your trade now. If anything, this is robo-taxi run now. So now you're going to run on robo-taxi. Because why? Just look at Elon's Twitter. Look what he's pushing on. Look how the narrative is changing in his Twitter. So now it's just robo-taxi run. I think you get a big run on this. This could even go to 400 on this. Right back up. Right? Like just right back through these levels, ripping towards 400. So, hey, now you guys see a trade here, right? And like Michael says, you want to go make money. There's money available there to you. But I thought the narrative was just really interesting there. Complete flip of events. And my thing is, what happened to bashing the big, beautiful bill? Now, sideline.
Well, yeah, that's one of those.
That's the American politics, man.
The beauty of systematic trading is I have like a very preschool understanding of anything that you're saying, and I'm okay with like everything I've learned about American politics has been.
There's a reason why you stay in Canada.
It's been against my will. Everything I learn about you guys, I just want to look at my charts and run my numbers and go from there.
Yeah. Vic saying I think he was on something when he posted that Epstein post, but I mean, I don't think he would put it out there just jokingly, man. That's quite an accusation there. But hey,
yeah, that's the big one.
Yeah,
I mean, he even called it the bomb when he did it, right?
Yeah, he knew it. He knew what he was doing there, man. He knew he was starting there, but yeah, a lot of people turned on him. Not what he wanted to see. Archer, 1165 now, continuing the rise. So these air mobility trades are definitely in play. I have right? We'll see what happens to this. Might add an 18 break. I just like the way this trade just looks. Like it's pulled back and it can really kind of push right back to 21. I like the risk and return on the setup. We'll see what happens there. And Chip saying he's on a little meow meow. Hey, a little peaceful action. We'll see what happens there. Docu is definitely down big. Those are the two names that I don't like, Pony and Docu today. Definitely not names I like to the upside. But who knows? Maybe we get APLD to rip back to the upside, right? Is this what it needed? The 90 EMA pullback, right? So maybe it gets a pullback to the 90 EMA and then rips right back to the upside. Remember, this was what I was trading in the first place, like a move back to the 9. I wasn't necessarily saying APLD was done. I was saying it was extended coming back, right? So looks like I think it's come back far enough that I might be looking for this maybe as a potential swing. We'll see what happens there.
Well, that $10, $11 area for that is huge, right? So if it can
right
pull
into
back
that area, right? I mean, into this kind of like little side area that you see on the daily chart, right? Like somewhere in there, right?
That's if you zoom out, that's a huge level. It hit like $11 4 or 5 times and rejected from it.
Yeah.
And then so now if it retests it and holds from the upside, that's just a support resistance flip. That's a easy trade 101. That was one of those. And again, if they take all my quant tools from me, that's all I'm doing with my life is looking for prior support that's becoming resistance and prior resistance becoming support. It's super low risk.
Don't make it hard, right? Don't make it hard. Sometimes the trades are simple if you don't make it hard, right? Yeah, I agree with you on that. That's one of the best simple strategies, right? Look for a stock that's hot, good news, that breaks resistance, a long-term resistance, that comes back and makes it a support. Really great, simple strategy, especially when you have a good catalyst like this, right? That's what you want to have also. I think having some kind of news trend that's in your favor with that move, you're looking good there. All right. And then Chip saying that he's seeing that bounce off that 38.2 fib level. We'll see if that's able to hold also. That's a good shout out to my man, Steve, right? All right, let's go, guys. We'll see what happens out there. Continuing to hold out there. Grail's really the one that I'm looking for a bigger rip here today. Let's see if we go for a bigger rip out the gates here. The Q's just kind of hanging in, pulled back a little bit. Will we get a VWAP test out the gates here? How are you seeing things, Michael?
Yeah, well, I was about to get triggered short the Q's, but it waited a couple seconds, which is good. I'm okay with that. Just to see if it fails at this VWAP. So it's one of those I think you got to give it a couple minutes here, right? Because we're outside that range. We did a big gap up. The first like 5-10 minutes of the market, I think, is super important here because it's just going to tell us, are they ripping it, right? Is this the day, or has all the move been done already? Where we had the gap up, they had the news event, all that's kind of sorted. So far, we pulled back a little bit off the open, and we found a little bit of buyers there. So most recent zone on the Qs, I think, is just this 536 area. On the SPY, that'd be 604, 605. See if we end up getting through that. That would kind of complete this bull flag looking pattern. But so far, we're bleeding just a little bit.
Yeah, bleeding a little bit here in HIMS, down a little bit. Thinking about maybe adding here, but don't want to push too much. I'm trying to get it back above the 55. We'll see what happens here in HIMS. Looking around, trying to find some good trades out the gates here. Seeing some pullbacks, of course, out the gates. We'll look to see if we get some trades in the green here. Looking to see what's leading the action from the gates. Rigetti, man, that was a nice one. And it did dip right back towards that 12 area and then ripping higher, missing that trade there. It's up to 1260s now. Big rip out the gates there, Rigetti.
Yeah, nice pop there. SPY continuing to sell just a little bit. Qs continuing to sell a bit. I'm about to probably get triggered here, short the Qs via SQQQ on this trade. So I'll just draw this out because I expect to hear There's the British man yelling at me. So this is a simple kind of one-to-one type of trade. See if we come back and test the 2-day VWAP right there. And then Tesla triggered short there as well. So grabbing a short right off there and then a push right here. Again, I always do the TSLL, so the TSLA, so I can draw it out there as well. But this is just, I have it so that when Tesla triggers, it trades a TSLL just to get the little bit of a juice there, because if they're giving it to me, I'm going to use it, even though I want the juice on the slower one. So let's see. So short the Qs, short Tesla. Those are the two trades right off the bat. Again, C would be perfectly healthy and normal. We fade back into the 2-day VWAP, find support there, maybe a bounce from there. If it happens before then, that'll be obviously bad for the day trades, but awesome for the swings.
All right, doing really well in Grail here, but also bad in the HIMS trade. Trying to manage it here, trying to buy the low, and then trying to manage it here. We'll see what happens. Definitely caught here in HIMS. Part of it I was watching the Alster trade out the gates there. Big drop and pop there. It got back to 55.18s. I saw it kind of almost break even. Took my eye off of it really quickly to 54.20s there. We'll see what happens if this starts to come back here, giving it a chance to double bottom right around the bottom here and then start to work its way back.
Q's still pushing down. So again, the SQQQ is what I'm in here.
Right back down.
TSLL. Nothing really happened with those. So yeah, Rigetti is on the list just to see if we have to close below this VWAP to trigger. I'll look to take a little bit of a short there if we can end up getting that. I'll start to draw it out for you guys because got a couple seconds left in the candle. And I'll be right there roughly. So this will probably be another 1-to-1. So everything today so far is like 1-to-1 trade. So nothing super exciting, but just trying to take a couple shots on a day that I know will be fairly inactive for me. So a lot of shorts going on. So I'm obviously betting bearish, not because I have to, but and GitLab. I just heard him yell. So GitLab to the long side. This is from here up to there. This is the first 2-to-1 risk reward. It's a good looking little trade. Again, this is probably my favorite looking one all morning, just because it spent so long under VWAP and then broke on the open here. So actually more active than I thought I would be here. Got a couple trades going on. So we have GitLab, Tesla,
Grail. Might be a cash in a little bit.
RGTI. So GitLab's working very well here. Let's see what's going on the Qs. It's kind of holding since then. Again, we have nothing left today. We've got oil numbers coming out later, and then we've got some of these auction things. That will happen a little bit later, but nothing super exciting there. Tesla, I'm certainly probably not going to wait all the way till 320 in order to take profits. I'll probably start taking profits. If we can get a push down to 330, that would be near a 1-to-1. So I'd probably take some off the table there just to kind of show us, yeah, Apple moving higher here.
Grail was up near 300 there. Going to take a look at it. I was up close to 9%, 8%. Might be taking that cash a little bit later today.
Yeah, Q's still bleeding a bit. SPY is bleeding a little bit worse. Just looking at the heat map, most things are flat. We have Apple up, Lilly up, and then a lot of finance stuff down.
Adding the HIMS here, but it's definitely a high risk trade here. Just trying to bounce back and just get close to kind of managing it here.
Rigetti, it's a little bit fast. Should have been faster on the trigger. Had a nice little push down, looks like it might be rebounding here. So most of these, it's a 2-minute close back above VWAP, and I'll take
Boom.
an
That's
exit a little
managed
quicker.
it. Managed it. I could have just kept that position, guys, and I'd be in the green right now with HIMS, but I just took it out there, guys. And yeah, I would be in the green right now, like deep. But I had to like kind of average down there, and I hate doing that. So what I did was, as soon as that started to come back around, I did just get out. I just said, you know what? You didn't time this one correctly. So don't try to get pretty with it, right? So like I was long here, right? It broke down. I added as soon as it broke that 54 and it got close towards my entry, I got out. I was up here towards the 40s, got out there in the 30s, lost 22 on the name versus lost like 100 or 200 really quickly. That's where, you know, sometimes people say the averaging down is, you know, sometimes a bad thing. But in this case, I actually managed it correctly and was able to get out because of it. The key was making sure that it wasn't going to break this 5360s. And I waited for that moment to get this first ad. As soon as it double bottomed there, I just used the strategy that I would normally use at the VWAP to essentially manage the trade back there. Now it could still rip off, but I'm not going to be worried about missing the trade, because the truth is I should have been getting in closer down here or getting in somewhere at this 5430s. But momentum's coming back in. Should start seeing charts start to look better, like coin right now. Look at that. Rip down, rip back up through the highs. So now we can start really taking a look to see if these trades start to work good. Ouster really starting to come back, looking really good on the day. Let's go trading, guys. Let's go trading.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes
Big
it's about
there.
Survivor. I played Survivor there. I'm going to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, and that's again, yeah. Sometimes it's what just save the day, right? Because if
Save the day, exactly.
if
That's
you
what that
lose a
was.
little too much to stop out hits and you go ahead, just the beauty of doing something like that in a prop firm is that if it went wrong, you'd be stopped out for the day, and that's it. You got to be much more careful doing stuff like that in your own account, because there'd be nothing stopping him from going to zero if something really bad happened, right? So
yeah, the key is as soon as you add there, make sure that you know you're 100% out spot and you're going to respect that, right? So I even had to stop placed. As soon as I went in, I had to stop held and I was ready to drop it. If I saw any down, pretty much any down action, I'm ready to get out. If I'm willing to add, it needs to be like an immediate reaction back, right? It's not like I'm going to add and then be like, oh no.
So I took a little bit off GitLab there while we were chatting, and it ramped up to 43.5. Looks like it's coming down a little bit. I'm still short, you know, the Qs, Rigetti, Tesla, and none of those are really doing anything. So I'm going to keep a tight leash on those. The reason I took a little bit off GitLab is I saw it, and the fact that the market was starting to turn made me say, okay, well, I've got a little bit of profit in the long. Let's take that. And then look here. So Rigetti bounced, and now it looks like it might be selling back in just a little bit. So I've lowered my stop here. I'll show you guys. Right. So my stop was originally above this massive wick, but then it bounced and then rolled back over. So now my stop is way lower in kind of the 1240s. So I was able to reduce the amount that I'm risking on the trade a lot, which just makes me feel more comfortable just, you know, leaving that stop and you know, forgetting it. Then I've got the SQQQ
long on NNE.
That's a little bit underwater on that. And then TSLA. This one's given up the ghost a bit. So I need to look. I have an order just sitting kind of in this 331 area, just because the pre-market low, thinking we might flush that and then bounce. So I want to take some of that off the table. You know, this would be to hit the 2-day VWAP. That'd be like a 6-hour trade. Certainly could happen, but just not a bet I want to take.
Good reaction there on NNE, guys. I'll show you guys the trade here. So NNE starting to push to the upside. I'm long here on the VWAP, just slightly above 3170s. Now going towards the 32 break. Can I get a break on the daily, especially through this 33 of yesterday? That could be the big breakout here. SMR on the top of my watch list. That's another reason it gave me the go for NNE. There you go, relationship style trade, SMR pushing to the upside. I'm also seeing bull push to the upside today, guys. So keep your eyes on that. Grail, of course, I have that. ARM, really nice push out. RCAT now going to 9. We're starting to see some bullish action out there. CrowdStrike pushing. So let's see if we can get these continued to push. Even Hims coming back there. Palantir made a new high and then pulled back there. That's one to watch out on. Hood starting to push. I like this one today. I like this one. Hood. Nice push there to 74, guys.
Listen, don't you, if you jinx my Lily, I'm coming to your house, man. Like I mentioned, I'm big in this name at 7:30-ish. And
Lily.
yeah, just a big
nice call, man. XLV is a good shot, I think, here, even just because of the way the market is, right? Like at some point you might see some rotation back to healthcare that stays. Hood, of course, getting the move because of the White House comments with the $1,000 thing. Vlad came out with 2 or 3 posts this morning. I think that's what's affecting Hood right now. I'd be watching for this to kind of pull back here or just take off from the 74s. 73 would be my pullback spot, but right now it's on a nice little lift.
Yeah, market's just chilling here. So I'm going to be quick to get out of some of these shorts. I got out of some of my Tesla as it sold off there. Just the fact that we're not selling to me is kind of bullish. Again, it could be one of those days that all of the news, right? Everything happened in the pre-market and it could just be a little bit choppy here during the day.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking that. I was more with you, Mitch, going in the open. I thought this one might be the day that they try to fight that all-time high. But it could just be waiting. So I'm going to the economic calendar. Is there stuff tomorrow? PPI, but who really
cares? I think 9:45 is going to be big, guys, because we'll have like about an hour from the kind of action this morning, right? So I'm watching around that 9:45 time to see if we start to get a kickoff. We're about literally 2 minutes away from that. So let's see what happens here, right? I think you just be careful, but of course, looking for names that are actually holding strength, right? That's what I'm trying to be in. Try to find some names that are holding some strength. Like QUBT's had a good day today, holding up at the top end. That tells me the quantum names, it could actually be a good move here, and you could still get a recovery. So I'd be keeping an eye out to see what happens there. QBTS, that's on the pullback. QUBT seems to be the one that's holding up on the upside right now.
Well, my Rigetti is very slightly green on the position, but it's just been kind of chopping away. And that's the same with all of my trades here, right? All of my shorts. Tesla got a little bit of green on that, and then that GitLab, I took a little bit off of that, even though it's green on I think all of these positions except the SQQQQ. No green on that one too. It's just very barely. There's just the market's waiting. I don't know what for, but I think it might be taking a look at the Qs here. We came up, tested VWAP from the upside. Now it looks like we could be rolling over. So that makes me think that, be a little bit cautious. If we get to those lows, which are 534.5, if we break through those, maybe a little bit of a flush to the 2-day VWAP, and then we kind of reassess and see from there. We're just barely up on the day on most of these positions.
SPY still hanging in there. We'll see what happens out there. Gotten some pullback here in Grail. Oust coming back down there and hitting me. They didn't want to let it go back through the 18 there. I'll be looking to get back in it later once it starts to get back above the VWAP, but definitely rejecting it there on the VWAP on that 19 recovery. Kind of failed there. It came to it a couple times, but not going to push too much there. Would rather get out, take the $40 hit there, keep the Grail on, and the Holy Grail can do it today, baby. Let's go, Holy Grail.
All right, so there is the Qs breaking lows, just flipped red on the day. Same with the SPY and the Dow, all red on the day here. So shorts are working.
Perfect time to flip them. Let's go.
So Tesla pushing down a little bit. My Q position, SQQQ, is working out now, obviously, with the that pushing short. So let's just see how far we go here, right? If we reverse and hold red, that's what I was talking about this morning, that we got to hold here. If we hold red, then that could be some disappointed people. Maybe it's finally time for the pullback after the 5-6 days up in a row here. take a little bit of a breath, but the Qs are getting close here. So let's go and watch this. So again, this is the target on the SQQQ, which is about $22, give or take. Keep a close eye on that. And then we have Tesla. That's making new lows in the day. Again, took part off the table somewhere around here, just because we were at roughly pre-market lows. GitLab, that's surprisingly holding on pretty well. What I'm going to do is just use a 2-minute close below VWAP for this one. And then RGTI is actually holding on surprisingly well. So if we do get a bounce in the market, I am not happy with this Rigetti position. So this might be the first one to go. And this is the way I look at things, right? Easy relative strength, relative weakness. This is what's happening in the Qs. If your stock is not doing this, then it's relatively strong. If your stock is doing this, then it's at least with the market. And if it's selling off worse than that, then it's relatively weak. So SQQQ. So I am probably going to manually cut SQQQ here. I know I always do this, but it's one of those, when it gets so close to target, I just don't have the guts until, you made this much to potentially give back that whole bit. It'd be rough. So I'm watching it here. Yeah. So just cut that. Tesla, I'm not going to cut it all. I think I'm going to take a little bit more off the table on that one. And then Rigetti, I'm getting real close to killing here just because it didn't give up with the market. So I'm just going to watch this one really closely. Maybe even just like a 2-minute bar trail. So wait for like a new 2-minute high or something simple.
All right, guys, we'll be waiting for Ouster to get back above the 850s, 1850s, but I did take a swing on bull to the long side. We'll see what happens on that. That's on the bottom right. You guys can see that new positioned open. Still holding NNE here, looking for it to hold the 3140s, looking for the Qs to just catch right here and rip right back up. So let's see if it starts to push near and we start to get the drive right back up. 945 went through there. We got a little dip there, a little fake to the downside. Let's see if it's a fake or do we get a wash today? Highly doubt that. If we do get the wash today, I think it's just going to be more along kind of waiting for the China comments. I think everyone's kind of eyes open to see what happens with Trump and China comments today. And it could come. It could come. I think they're talking the deal. They're trying to finish the deal. The question is Trump willing to give up on some of the things that China asked for?
Well, and this is I think you're doing the exact right thing, right? For people who are, if you're bullish right now, your life has just become a lot easier because the market sold off. So what you do is you just start going through lists and you're saying, what is
using that?
Right? What's above today's open? What's still green on the day? Things like this. What isn't participating in that last couple candle sell? If it's not participating, I just got out of my Rigetti here, tiny profit. If it's not participating, then if the market turns and becomes bullish the way you think it will be, then great. It's you're in a much higher probability situation buying stocks that held on well during that sell-off. And that's why I love kind of relative strength, relative weakness trading, because you're just saying, okay, if the market's going to sell, I'm looking for what's holding up. If the market's rallying, I'm looking for things that aren't bouncing with the market. And then you just wait for the market to kind of confirm your thesis, right? So
HIMS is one that I'm kind of holding off on just because my NNE just ripped higher, guys. I want to go long on HIMS, but got to also understand, right? If I have one that's just ripping, is it really a point for me to kind of just gas pedal too much right now? I'm going to be watching for NNE to really kind of break towards 33 here. At this point, I could be break even, but want to start to really kind of lift off here. Got almost $100 already in NNE, so looking for that to keep pushing here. Also going to look for Ouster for the day trade. Since I'm out of the swing, I might look for this above the VWAP and look to see it kind of run. This is just one of the names that I'm keeping on the eyes. Just looks to me really symmetrical there. Q's starting to come back there. Definitely getting some names to start to move. How's Hood on that pullback? That's another one that I'd look at on this pullback.
Yeah, held pretty nicely. Never didn't get to that day's lows. So that's going to be an interesting one.
All right, let's see if we can really start to rip out an NNE, and Grail is a little bit on the pullback. Want that to catch the VWAP here and catch this support, go right back towards the 44s and 45s. We'll see if that can keep moving. SMR now ripping off. That's what I want to see there, guys. So I'd also look to see CEG start to reverse. I want to take a trade on this one, potential swing. I might take the shot on the 290s right now off the 292, but you got to go low size and let this thing really work. That's what I like also, because I could go low size on that and try to see if it works. I don't know if there's kind of a leverage trade for that, but I'll just go with this.
For what one?
A CEG. I don't think there is.
No. I think NNE is probably leveraged CEG, right? They're probably pretty correlated. The Qs market, all of it is back to green on the day. So trying to hold on to that green, potentially a little dip and rip again, or we got to, think of that third option, which is that the move has been done and that we're just kind of all waiting for the next thing. This is one thing you've got to, is the reality of being a day trader is that you're going to have times where everything's a gap.
NNE. Right? I'm hesitating on CEG, nice. Which is making the spread go higher, but it's tough because I want 292, right? But it's a 292.68 now. It's just hard. It's hard to swing when you have this kind of spread. You kind of have to just put a limit and look to try to catch it on the pullback. But look at that rip there for NNE. That's what I want to see there. That's what I'm talking about. I'm going to sell 100 into this move here on the 68 break. See 68s. Boom. Limit right on the offer. Going to go ahead and take some out here. There we go. Come on, 68s. Get me. Boom. Just took some out there in NNE. Let's go. Now can let the remainder run. Look at this trade here, guys. Long getting that rip now. Looking really nice on that rip. Sold some on that rip. There's a reason why. I'll show you guys it. Look at the hourly. You see how we're going towards these areas where resistance is right over the 33s. This is what I wanted to see on the daily, also for the swing. So at this point, I can just go ahead and just let this remaining work or bring up the stop and trail it. So they're all looking for break 33s and just keep chugging along.
Yeah, they're all doing it, right? And when they're all doing it, I think that puts a little bit more confidence in your quiver. It's not, this isn't an NNE move. This is a sector, small nuclear reactors are all ripping together, right? So.
Let's be honest. It's a lot of the themes that are strong are holding strong right now, right? I mean, QUBT, that held really well. So you got to look at the charts right now. Make sure that you're trading strong charts on this. Look, you want to be trading strong charts, guys. So just continue looking at that. So the way that I do that, I just limit it by the trade from the open, not trade overall. Look at Rigetti recovering. That's a nice trade right there. If you got
that's
Rigetti.
Why, I mentioned to everyone that I was getting out there because like we were talking about with the relative strength and weakness, while the market was selling there, Rigetti, if you look at that chart, never broke its low of the day. So as you know, I was telling you guys as that was happening, that's what I'm looking for. So, okay, the Qs are selling, right? If they're not, if your thing wasn't selling with the Qs, well, that's something that you might want to not be looking to the short side. You might want to look to the long side. Same with GitLab, right? So I'm holding strong in that one. I'm thinking of adding back because I just got another trigger, the half that I sold. And I'm holding strong to get that 2-day VWAP out of it because it didn't participate in the sell-off, right? Again, it doesn't have to be complicated, but this relative strength, relative weakness stuff has been studied forever. You can find studies going back. The oldest one I read is almost it was like 1980. So that's, geez, it's 40 years old that they've been studying this stuff. There's been studies, not formal studies, but paper written like 100 years ago about the relative strength of assets. So this is it's not a new thing. Days like today just make it real easy when the market does those fast sells.
All right, getting Alster here, guys. I'm trying to add it here. I want to add to it towards the 1850s, but I'm going to give it the chance to start making the run out now. I like how it broke the VWAP and starting to look strong, volume getting stronger on that push, right? So let's see if this really wants to go now and take the highs. $21 available to it. To me, it's just good risk to return. $2 to the upside here potentially for 50 cents risk.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, just broke back towards the 19s. I might add through the 19 break and then just hold break even on this. I wanted an 1850 add and never got it.
The Qs are flirting back with today's high. So that would be a big horseshoe kind of pattern. We went red for a second. We come back. We're now green. If we break high of days, then we still might be right about this day that they're trying to send it to new highs. They just might have been a little shakeout to not make it easy on you.
Yeah, man. Clip that. Because if we get all-time highs, I think I'm going to be in the few that really called it quickly there. Because I think at the end of the day, that's how it has to be. You need to make money on these rallies sometimes. And part of that is like how I respected my HIMS position, right? Because that could have really wrecked me this morning. HIMS is actually doing well off of that move, right? Like it's actually way higher than that 54 that I kind of, rebought and then got out there at the 54.30s. Right. So it's at 55. It's about $1 higher than that. Nice move here in NNE on the pullback of the 9 EMA. This is what I talk about all the time. When you look for a momentum move breakout, right? I got in that NNE. When it comes back to that 9, I need it to hold. That's a really good looking chart right now. Now I can go ahead and raise the stop loss to that 32.20 and just let this work. Another $50 secured in the green and let this work. Let's go. CEG looking really well. I'm a little annoyed I didn't get that 292, but I'm going to leave that one alone. It's a little bit of a harder trade for me. That's something that I always trade, so I'll let it go.
Yeah, this is looking very just on a 2-minute chart. It's very cup and handly.
What's up, man?
Very right dip and rip. I can draw this out, but right, you've got your cup here, and then maybe you got a little handle building. These patterns on a shorter term chart like this mean less to me, but again, that would make this candle kind of a come down, a perfect pull into yesterday's range, and then just a rip from there. So could be, right? I think first thing we need to see is a break of this candle because we sold right off the open. I talk about this all the time. Is that opening candle? What does that opening candle look like? If it's the low is equal to the close or the open, then right, sometimes that's a really bullish day. If you got the same thing, we were selling right off the open. So let's see what happens if this pushes through here. Do we get to this prior high and then 606? Whoops, close my charts again.
Whoops.
Do that so much.
That happens, man. No worries.
Command Q is to close the charts, and Command 1 is to go to my daily chart. So that's the difference. It's the difference between a Q and a 1.
Okay. Looking around out there, trying to find some trades. GEV made a nice comeback on the day. AMAT's rising back. Tempest is on the pullback. That's one that's big pullback there. Let's see if Alster goes here. Ooh, NNE is riding higher. Look at that. That's exactly the pattern I want to see, guys. You see?
Rigetti breaking back down through VWAP again, so could just be one of those.
32, 33 is coming here for NNE. Let's go.
Again, feels like we're going to make a shot at highs here, but I just don't want to, remove the option of we do nothing today. We just kind of fake out everyone.
All right, guys, going for the move now. Looking to see if this NNE can really start pushing. Daily chart starts coming into play, and so you're nearing daily resistance. Now do you create the bullish engulfing candle and break to the left, which is 33.20s, and go higher? That's what I'm looking at here. Here's 33.20s right on it, right? This is going to be important because it could still pull back to the VWAP. We have to be honest on that. So I'm giving it the chance here to continue going into a bullish engulfing candle on the daily chart. Here comes Alster. I just added on the stop on 19 add. So with that add, I got to be careful with the risk now and just look for this to really launch off. If not, willing to get out at the 9.
So I'm a micro strategy. Ponzi.
Ooh, let's go.
Ponzi's looking a lot like Bitcoin. So yeah, a little underperforming on the Ponzi on Bitcoin, but Bitcoin's was actually looking weird. There's an obvious seller at 110. That's just been keeping us down.
All right, guys, might take the profits here in NNE. It's continuing to lift. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the 33 stop loss here. So I'm just going to let this continue to work. But if it pulls back, I'd rather get out on this 90 MA pullback through the 33s. It could reload and keep going, but I'm trying to take that cash and run. It's good little cash. I already taken $100. That'd be another 160, 150, 130, somewhere in between there. And we're lifting even higher. So this is exactly what I want to see. I want to ride the momentum as far as I can and take the money and run.
Yeah. Okay. Hello. Being talking about in the chat, all of these things,
Oh,
right?
look at that. Look at that
Yeah.
rip. That's what I'm talking about. Now I can move up here.
Yeah,
I'm going to move up towards the 3340s here now. 3340s on the stop now. 170 locked in. Almost 200. Let's go. If it breaks 200 here, I might take the money and run.
Yeah, a whole sector move. Easy way to look at that is NLR, right?
Oof, look at that push into the 80s. Let's go. I'm willing to take it here, guys. If it pushes above the 80s, I'm going to take it. And I'm also putting the stop below this 1 minute candle. So essentially have a ladder in between, guaranteeing profits here. Let's go. So 170s or 220s. That's what I'm going to take here on this trade.
It's always a good position to be in is
This right
how
here.
much money am I going to make as opposed to am I going to make money on the trade,
right? Like, so I can just trail it here. I'll show you guys what I mean by trailing it. So now as I see the offer jump to like 3380s, I can push this up a little bit towards like 34s, right? And I can move the stop loss with it, right? Move the target, move the stop. So essentially laddering in between the position right here. A lot of times you'll get this pullback where it's just going to take your stop, but I'm okay with that. I'm already establishing that I'm either going to let the momentum go, or if it pulls back, I took the cash.
Yeah, it was right, trail and stop. That's the whole point, and that's what 99% of all trend traders that I've ever spoken to, that's how they manage their positions. They just say, because you never know how far it's going to go. You just have to be okay giving a little bit off the top. So that's why personally, for swing trades and things like that, I never use profit targets, right? These day trades I do just because I'm in trying to get a couple bucks, move out. But the Qs are and the SPY, everything is just consolidating here, which I think is overall bullish. You get back to today's high, you just want it to hold VWAP and just to hang out right here. That could give us our next rip higher. So might be one of those that now the market's consolidating, you start looking at some of those names that potentially you missed that you thought might move that are also consolidating. And then from there, you end up getting looking for that other side. Though the one, I'm still holding my GitLab. That's my only trade. The thing that I've already kind of tapped myself on the back about today was really killing those shorts early, right? Just seeing that the things that I were short was not participating very well with the market drawdown. So I end up actually making money to the short side on a day like this that we could be looking back and seeing everything ripping. So it's the power of, even as a systematic guy, kind of making sure that you're here, you're paying attention, you're watching the market. Just because I don't take the entries doesn't mean I'm not paying attention to things that are out there, right?
100%, guys. I'm actually going to put a stop break even here in a second here on Ouster. I'm just trying to let it break through the 1920 area. Let's see what happens here. It probably pulls me back and stops me out. Why am I willing to stop out here? Because I'm willing to reassess here. I've already made enough money on the day where I don't need to push too far, right? I'm still in a position, so I'm going to give it like maybe about $4 here. But let's see if Ouster wants to keep going, right? Just needed to rip through the kind of 1920s and just start really pushing. But if it comes back to the VWAP, I want out of this position. And I'm not trying to lose on this position anymore when I'm deep green on the day. So just push to the upside. Nice little first start of the move. I cancel my stop. I wait for it to come back to 19 like it is right now. And then I'm going to put my stop out again in just a second here. There it goes. It pushes towards the upside. 1915 show up on the offer. Now I throw out the stop again. Break even, right? I'm just playing with the game right now of letting it either go or coming back and I'm out of the trade. So the reason why is I'm trying to ride momentum. If I'm riding momentum, it needs to be almost a lot of times instant gratification, right? Look at that CEG.
Yeah,
I'm annoyed on that CEG recovery.
SPY is still consolidating here. I think Now's the time, right? If you're one of those discretionary guys, you make your
Yeah.
list. What's consolidating near
Yeah,
highs?
what do you
Because the
like?
SPY is right. If feels like this consolidation is too tight to last forever, so it feels like we're going to break here
Nice.
probably pretty soon. So it'd be a good time to have a list of names that pull back that you like, that are strong, that you like, that kind of things, right? I'm going to go check out our boy Walter, see if he's telling us anything cool.
There you go. Nice little rip there for Ouster. Let's go, Ouster. 1930s now, pushed away from the 90 MA. Now I can actually be break even below the 90 MA, exactly what I want to be, right? So now I'm just looking to get closer to 100, take half off, and let this ride. Let's go, Ouster. Let's go. Gas pedal on. Gas pedal day, guys. Gas pedal day. Let's go.
Yeah, the Bassett, it must be talking. Because I'm checking out our boy Walter, and every single tweet is
look at this SMR takeoff, man. That's a takeoff. That's a buy program.
Mm-hmm.
Look, little to no pullback, right? Little to no pullback.
Yeah, and I think these are always really good to show people, because it shows, like, a lot of people think algos and they think, right, they somehow through osmosis know, right, and that they're predatory, or they know where everything's located and blah blah. This is an algo, right? This is someone saying, I want to own SMR. Either I want to own it, or these things actually have a pretty high short float. This is somebody saying, I need out of this thing. And that's when you see those candles that have very low or to no bottom shadow. A bunch of these 2-minute candles, the low is the exact open, so it rips from there. That is a, put out a bid. Sometimes you can see them as iceberg orders if you're someone who really watches the tape. An iceberg order being maybe there's only 100 shares on the bid, but you watched like 10,000 shares go through, right? They just keep refreshing. But yeah, this is what a system looks like. They're saying, get me in at any price.
Grail is doing great, guys. Up 7% on that. Bulls looking good too. That's starting to move back to the upside. Did pull back a little bit. We'll see what happens on that one. Looking around, guys, it's just a great day already. Looking around to make some more money. If you guys see anything you guys want to talk about, throw it up in the chat. Willing to go ahead and trade it. Let's go.
Buy is getting so tight here that it just feels like something crazy. We talk about it all the time. Price is not mean reverting. Price trends. What mean reverts is volatility, and we are very tight. The last half hour has been just sideways, like within a couple pennies on the SPY. So feels like this is the rest before the boom. This is uncharacteristically tight that we're seeing here.
Yeah, man. I'm enjoying this ride up in Ouster, guys. I'm just trying to ride the momentum. I think this can make it to 20, guys. I feel like I did really well on this one, and I also got out of it on the swing. Right, I was trying to respect it. I tried to give it a chance early on, but came back in it in the day trade. Right, out of the day swing. Well, I'll day trade this on a day trade break, and let's see what happens, right? Nice little break here now towards 1950s, almost up $100, and I'm up over $200 on the day. So really doing well here on the day, trying to keep pushing, trying to hit the gas pedal and keep on making money today. You guys out there, smash it up.
Yes, inflation shows substantial improvement due to Trump.
So due to Trump.
And if inflation was up, they'd blame it on, what was the other guy, the old guy that was you had last. That it would have been his fault if inflation was up.
That's how much Michael
because
remembers
it's
him. Biden.
Again, everything I know about stock market news or U.S. politics is completely against my will. You should see the setup I have on Twitter. I don't see anything on Twitter. I get my feed. That's it. I've got this app that just blocks out everything. It's not going to make me money. I don't want to hear it.
I hear you, man.
And then he said May budget receipts are up 14% over a year ago. I don't know if that's a big thing. That was like a couple minutes ago.
Rigetti takeoff there, guys. I talked about it. That one's in play. Grail towards 44, man. That's making me feel really good about picking that one up. Tempest recovering, just to put that one in perspective. QUBT absolutely ripping and continuing the rip from yesterday. Now I'm looking for IonQ to play catch up. There's IonQ now starting to play catch up. There's Ion X, just to let you guys know. But I'm trying to get this pullback now in Ion Q.
Of course. Yeah.
But look at the rip off there, guys. 41 was my trigger. It's already to 4180s in like a couple minutes. So I'm just looking for some pullbacks now on the 9 EMA, right? So give me a 9 EMA attempt. It's right at the 41. That's what I'm looking for on Ion Q. It's part of the playlist. And there it goes, starting to push there. Ouster, let's go, Ouster. Now to 1960s, guys. Almost 20. I think this could get to 20, but I'm making too much money today not to take some cash here. So boom, got to take some cash there on Ouster. Let's go, let's go. Gas pedal day, guys. I love these sometimes. And you got to be willing to risk on these days. That's the hardest part. I feel like some traders get stuck and they're like, risk adverse on a day like today. No, today's my gas pedal type of day. I'm riding it. I'm riding the wave. Q's going higher now. 535. Can we break the? What we really need to look for is when we reach a trend line. And I think we're reaching it right now. So let me take a look here. Take things in perspective, right? We got to still be riding higher. So what am I going to do is I'm going to put a stop below the 9 EMA on Ouster to take the money if it does pull back, but think this could get to 20 and higher. Now the Qs, right? So what I'm seeing is that we're starting to approach this trend line, right? And once we get there, I think we could have a little bit of some pullback. We're looking like we're trying to break out towards it right now. Let's see if we make a break and then a little bit of a pullback here. We'll see what happens. Riding the trends, riding the trends. The trend's your friend. And if you're not making money on a position right now, it makes sense to also think about cutting things like this, right? I'm not telling you necessarily to do so, but like, let's say like this bull, I like the position, but it's not helping me right now. I'm down $9 on it. It doesn't want to go. I don't want it. Cut it. You guys saw me cut it right there. Done. There's no point in keeping it.
Yeah. It's right. Again, I just feel like an old man sometimes giving old trading sayings, but it's right. Pull the weeds, water the flowers. If something's working for you, add to
flower.
Right?
Enjoy that flower, man.
Yeah, and then the weed that's pulling down your portfolio or not participating to it, you got to get that out.
Gotta get it
and
out.
that's why relative strength and weakness does, because there's so many wise traders and investors doing just that. The thing is going down because the thing is going down, because people are selling it because the thing is going down, right? SPY getting very close to the high of the day, looking like it's going to complete this kind of cup and handle look. That was happening here. Nice. I expected a little bit more explosive breakout of this short-term range, but a break's a break.
All right, guys, look to sell some of the grail on the rip above 44s. If we get a rip above 44s, I'm willing to sell some. We just recently got a 44.17 tick, so above that, would love to sell this. Look at the Ouster go, man. That's continuing to run now. 1970s. Remember, I played it on the 9 EMA, gave myself almost the tightest risk on this name, and now what am I doing? Just trailing the momentum, guys, riding it higher now. So let's go. Riding this up there now towards the 1955s on the stop. So now I got $60 regardless. Already pulled about $70 on this. I'm up 300 on the day. So now up 360 no matter what, and going to continue to work and make cash. This is why I think it's so important to understand gas pedal days, because these are the days that make your account. And what am I doing? I'm trailing it. And once it gets to 20, I can bring this up there, and I think you'll get a 9 EMA pullback. You see, this is the EMA right here. You see how it's trailing it. I could get a pullback here, but I'm raising it up because it went sideways there, right? So now I should get expansion away, sideways, expansion, sideways, expansion, sideways, expansion, right? So expansion here, and then looking really for like a move to like 20, and then I could just even run with the cash.
Yeah, and that's the difference too between an eval, right, and the real guy account is that
the real guy account sometimes want to hold and just make as much money as possible, right?
Right. You get a nice good trail and stop like that. You let her go.
Especially on a trade like this that has that potential for 21, right? Like there's still potential for that, but we could get a pullback all the way to 19 here, right? Like. And so it's better sometimes also, I think, if you're day trading, sometimes it's okay to be in this mentality of rinse and repeat. This is a great trade. Let me not get greedy. Take the money, build the cushion on the day so that I can keep trading on a day like today.
Yeah, it's, you're essentially, it's almost like compound interest in a way, right? Where you're allowing you're giving yourself more in which to risk. You're saying, okay, I'm okay risking, a little bit more than I maybe normally would on a day because I have this cushion and everything
Out.
is understood. And I know, again, a lot of people will do this is every trade is a percentage of their daily stop out. So,
Yep.
it's so your
There
daily
we
stop
go,
out's
guys.
$300. So maybe you're saying, okay, I'm going to risk $50 on any trade. And if I lose 6 trades in a row, I'm stopped out, that kind of thing, whatever that is. But then as that stop out grows for the day, Qs or the SPY is just about to break its opening candle. And that would be,
this is exactly what I was looking for, right around this trend line push now. Watch out for a break and then a pullback. Why? Because I think it's going to give us a chance to reload on some of these. So that's what I'm looking for. Doesn't mean that you have to look for that, right? You guys keep doing your moves. But now that I see this, right, I'm looking for a break of this. It's like maybe it goes to like 530, 580s, maybe close to 536, and then a pullback throwback look, right? Throwback look is what I'm looking for here. We'll see what happens. There's Alster breaking the 9. So
yeah, and there's GitLab. So that's the
you
target
go.
right there. So 2-day VWAP on that. It was very good. Again, I'm going to give myself a pat on the back in the journal when I'm done trading for today. Just exiting those shorts when there was obvious that they were underperforming the market. Stuck with the long. The long ends up paying quite nicely on the day there. So yeah, this is the kind of cup and handle look that I was talking about. If you look at this kind of trend lines here, looked very interesting. And then now we are back up at highs. So the reason I think that's important is because if you look at the dailies candle, it shows this bottoming tail. They brought us into yesterday's range, tried to shake people out, and now back through highs. So if that we close green here with this candle green, then new all-time highs are coming. New all-time highs again could be today, but it's like 1.5% from here. It's not too bad. I know the Qs are less than 1% away. So let's look just in case we hit it. All-time highs are 540.01. So another 5 points from here on the SPY.
Alster continuing right back up. It got a dip bot through that 9 EMA, now trying to continue it. So there's times where I can either do things like where I'll just take like a small risk and scalp a little bit higher. These are moments where I feel like there's certain charts you could take scalps on trades days like this, where you're just seeing the momentum continue. The key is quick with the momentum, right? There's a difference between riding a range and riding the breakout.
Yeah, so oil is interesting, right? This long-term chart. God, problem is you zoom out a little bit too far on oil, everything gets screwed up because that time it went to negative on the day. They were paying you to take barrels of oil. But yeah, so this would be a massive fake breakdown. It means that we've had this level that everybody's watching, call it like $65, give or take. We break down that and then we just rip back through. That could get a lot of people caught a lot off guards, right? But oil is one of those things that short-term trade for sure. Yeah, I think you're fighting the admin if you're trying to go right. If oil gets too high, he's going to do something. Right? He's going to do something crazy.
Yeah, he'll make a deal with Iran if he needs to.
Yeah, well, we're buying Texas, and we're just going to turn the whole thing into an oil mine.
I honestly think that he turned away from that Iran deal because oil was going down already. Because he doesn't need it, right? Like he's going to save it in his back pocket, I think. But that's just something to think about here.
Well, and it's I think it's bullish for the overall economy. If say I could go for the next 10 years, oil will be $65 a barrel. And I could guarantee you it's amazing, right? That's great. I can do so much planning with that, right? So
all gas, no break today, man. It seems like it. We'll see what happens here.
We're going, man. We're going.
There's the trend line break. Like it wicked right on it, man. This is why I draw trend lines that I think could potentially come into play, guys. You saw me draw this earlier, right? I didn't know the Qs were going to get into this level. I didn't know it'd run into that. I sometimes draw them where I expect them to go. I'm not trading it on this, but it gives me a good perspective of the stock could come back to this trend line, right? And then that's a way of trading it to that range, right? Because early on, you don't expect it to be back up here. But if I draw a trend line from this angle that we got on the pop, it just makes sense for it to come to that level, right? Now, I think I'm looking to see if we do a little bit of a pullback. And that makes sense to just wait here to see what happens at this spot. Is it a big bar above, or is it a pullback off of this? Also gives you a chance to sell into the profits, right? So you know that the Q is hitting some type of resistance. You can see it also because we're going sideways here, right? We didn't continue this type of move where we were just lifting. We started to go sideways right near.
Just putting a alert right at.
Let's go, Grail.
All-time highs, just in case.
All right, guys.
I have to tweet something like clowning on the Bears. I'll just call it.
You have to
suck it, Bears, in case we get here. It's one of my favorite things to do.
I think it's time to take some profits here in Grail through 44.40s.
Perma Bears and meme stockholders. Those are my two favorite people to rip on the internet.
Well, there it is. You guys see the limit order to sell some. Look where I'm at, guys. All the way down here, trying to take some profits in the swing, and then going to let this continue in the work. Big part is I'm hitting that $300 spot that I told you guys I got to respect too. That's 30% of the goal. And if I'm getting that on any trade, that's not bad at all, right? And so got to keep that mentality. I still want to hold this a little bit more because I think it could continue to push, but I'm willing to kind of sell into here. You could see I just pulled off that 44.40, so I'm probably going to go ahead and just cancel it for a second, look for it to push, and try to sell it on the bid, right? So let the bid get to 440s, and then I could just bid out, right? We'll see what happens there. I'll let you guys know. Continuing to watch different trades out here. The Qs just broke that trend line, and now are trying to go higher. So we broke the trend line. Now we're trying to go higher. 536 could be that throwback look back to the trend line. This is kind of what I'm looking for. It went to 535.94s. I was looking for a 535.96, but let's see what happens here. If we call it to the T and we get this pullback. And then what I'm looking for is a VWAP attempt or a slight wick below the trend line, right? And so a reload opportunity here, or does it just run? Let's see what happens. Euphoria is strong though today, that's for sure. And you're seeing names start to lift.
Yeah, what
Ooh, look at QUBT, man. Oh my God. That's up 34% now.
A lot of these speculatives, right? NNE still looking strong. QUBT.
What a move.
QUBT.
Look at that.
Yeah.
On the 9 EMA. Do you guys believe the 9 EMA now?
QBTS. So mine isn't going because I have QBTS is the one I've got. I've got like 11, so I'm obviously happy with the trade already. But I want it to do what QUBT is doing. So whatever you guys need to do to make that happen, go ahead. I got a lot of house improvements coming this week. It'd be nice for you guys to pump that just a little bit for me.
Came back. Remember, I talked about the break of 41 was a good look. That went to 44. Now back to 41.50s. Almost to VWAP. If I could get a VWAP opportunity, I wouldn't mind this at all. Ion Q trying to make a move. And that 44, big spot to watch for. Because if you can get above the high of yesterday, it starts to look like it's starting to go and do another breakout, right? Back to the 50s. We'll see what happens Ion Q with the other names. Mitch, could you please put a ticker in the background? Yeah, that's on the main charts. They're there, but they're just like kind of really not as like visible. On my other charts, I'll try to make the watermark a little bit more visible. I just got to raise it up.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's like I have it there for other people, but I'm with you. I like it gone for my own charts because.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's just a little too like prominent, but you can tell how I do it on these. That I make it to where everyone should be able to read that, right? Like on these
it's one of those, right? What do you show yourself versus what do I show?
But I'm showing people that this is the easiest way to tell them about Grail. Have Grail right underneath the price action, right? So we'll see if things can keep going, man. NNE just kept going. It just kept going, man.
Well, that's a nice man. If you want to trade a little momentum scalp, right? That bull flag that we're seeing on NNE right now on like the 2 minute or the 1 minute chart.
Yeah.
just like a little, and because
Tight.
I totally agree. These are the days to take. If you're one of those person that you want to take like 10-cent scalps, you just want to get in, take a couple bucks, get out.
Yep.
Most days on the market, that's a rough game. Days like this, these might be the days to do that kind of thing because there's a little bit more of those, going around.
Here comes that 536 break. Let's see if we get the throwback look on the Qs. So this is what I mean by throwback look. I don't want to buy the breakout right here. I'm looking for the pullback back to this trend line, right? Give me the opportunity.
It's too much. You're right. It's too much to buy right here. Now, if you're long, hold on with both hands, right? But yeah,
I'm in no position. So instead of buying the highs, I would rather like the pullback, right? So
problem is enough people want that pullback, right?
Yes, you might not get it.
So
the other thing that comes into play is that it's held in 90 EMA. A lot of times I look to see if you hit it on the third try, right? So you could still get at least the 90 EMA pullback, which is a smaller pullback. That's a 535 90s here, right? Just undercutting the 536. But you can see the momentum that we had since we broke that low, right? I wish I would just bought the Qs there because I probably would be cashing, right? But I was looking for it because it just undercut that 534 and it was a quick rally off of that, right? And then give you a kind of an inverse head and shoulders pattern too in the intraday.
That actually leads to a setup that I've been watching, and I might start trading too. That also is ripped from our boy Kenny, is right because I took that initial Qs fade lower. It failed VWAP, right? It broke down. It was actually a good trade, right? I got most of the profit target I wanted on SQQQ, but one thing that Kenny will do is if it holds the 2-day VWAP, doesn't break the 2-day VWAP, and then gets back through VWAP, he'll flip and go long. And that's something I was looking at doing on the Qs. I didn't do it, but I'm watching that. So again, the setup is you sell in the morning, you hold the 2-day VWAP. That's super important just to show the sellers aren't that strong. They're not able to take that 2-day VWAP out. And then you get back through today's VWAP. That's your long. It's something I want to watch. I'm going through a lot of charts, and today, holy smokes, right? You had like RGTI, you that would have been the trade on that. It sold, didn't get to the 2-day VWAP, you held that good. You were buying it back through VWAP at 12.15. You're at 13.50 now. Oof, right?
So I like them when they do the green to red also, like a fake out at the gates. Down, you're faking both sides. Whenever you fake both sides, trades have a tendency of continuing. Why? Because you're essentially just creating liquidity within it, right? You're making shares trade, essentially. And that's how a lot of times they'll do it out the gates here. And I think a lot of it was also that there was that big buyer, right? Remember I caught him early in the pre-market, the 1210 buyer, the big share size. A rip like that out the gates can get him to sell, essentially selling a huge position, right? Knocking the stock back down. And then he'd probably rebuying and using some of his house's money to make a risk on the pullback below 12. If he bought below 12, this only went to 1286, I think. Yeah, 1186. So it was a great buy if he bought at 1210, sold towards 1250, brought it back at 12, sold back at 1250, or let the rip go even higher. So these are those types of trades, especially the gurus that like to buy big size, right? The 10, 20,000 shares. That's a lot of how they trade, right?
Yeah. So this setup is one that I'm going to be very interested in. It's going to be harder. Like I'm already thinking on how I'm going to systematize it. It'll be harder, but I'm very interested in it, in any of these kind of, fake out liquidity grab type plays. Because when they go, they seem to really go. The probability, what I'm doing now with the VWAP fades, it's very good, consistent type of thing, but it doesn't, because everything has a very capped profit target. It means that at the end of the day, I'm limiting that potential overall gain. So what I need to do next, right? Because you should always be thinking of strategy 1 does XYZ, but then you need strategy 2, and strategy 2 should complement strategy 1. So something like that, these liquidity grab things, That's interesting to me because I won't cap the return, right? So the idea is that most days you get a gap, you get a fade into the gap, you end up making that money consistently, and then you have days like this where you do the kind of rip and shoot, and even if those are smaller in frequency, you get a couple of those a week, a couple of those a month, right? It ends up adding on top of the consistency. So just a little lesson on the importance is that making sure that when you're building strategies together, that these strategies complement and they don't just amplify, right? Because a lot of people will do that. They'll have like 5 different ways to trade a gap and go. It's like, right, you're just if it doesn't go, then you've just kind of amplified that return. I'm always looking for semi uncorrelated or things that will happen at different times. Is very important.
Big level here for a 1 minute pattern on the Ion Q. It did undercut 9, recovered it. Now trying to hold it to go to 43s, but something tells me the Q's pullback's affecting this, and we're getting the move closer towards the throwback look. Now it's that 9 EMA that I talked about, the smaller pullback. Then you're seeing traders start to take some of these pullback buys. I can clearly see it, volume flowing through on names like Ion Q, the quantum names right there. So they're buying the 9 EMA pullbacks. The question is, are they going to get the test? What do I mean by the test? Will they get the move back towards the 50? That's why this yellow line is there on the Qs. That's what I'm kind of looking at also. I like that it's kind of lining up with the throwback look. The throwback look, of course, is this trend line, and we can extend it to the right and kind of make it a little bit thicker. So I'm looking for it to come into that yellow line, which is the 50, and also with the throwback look. If it can do that, that's actually giving me a little bit of a better signal to buy. But where the momentum's holding on here, you can see buyers were stepping up on the 9. It undercut, got bought back again. Let's see if this gets cut and it actually comes back there. That's the way I will trade it. I don't want to buy the high here, especially with the gains that I have already on the day.
Listen, Tack, the more you talk about Lily, the more you're jinxing it, right? let's just be happy, right? We're up about $100 a share on it. Let's just be like 4 times my risk already. It's amazing trade in ours.
I think XLV is an interesting swing for me off that 135. So,
and I'm teasing you, but again, as much as I like to clown on like the Wall Street bet guys, the saying that they have that I love is, if it's good enough to screenshot, it's good enough to sell. So it's like when I feel the need to like start boasting on that, I'm like, okay. So like I'm very happy with the Lily position. I'm like, I should probably feed the ducks a little bit because it's just working out too well.
Momentum working here, guys. It's continuing to hold here. So it could start looking at scalps. Look at that 20 break on Alster. There's the 20 break that I was looking for, guys. There it goes. That's a nice move within itself, right? I think I traded it well on the days that I didn't have such a big profit. I'd probably ride this trend a little bit further, but look at the breakout in Alster today. Really good trade there. Was watching it all this morning, talked about it with you guys, the setup off the 18. It undercut 18 out the gates, recovered 18, held the VWAP, now going higher. Could eventually go to the 21. I think you're running into a trend line look now, and now you could get this kind of pull back to the 9, which would be a nice looking trade if it comes back to 19 for a move back through 20. So Alster, really nice move there. Let's see how Archer and them are moving. Look at Archer. Nice move too. Continuing there, 12 13s. 12-12s, looking good. I'd look for a nice pullback. Prior resistance becomes support, right? You can see how this was exactly that type of trade through the 1150s. Now you had some sideways consolidation around this right below 12s. I'd like a move back to the 1180s. We'll see what happens on that one. Joby at the highs, 1016 and holding on. Let's go to the sectors. Let's see if there's anything that's pointing out in the sectors. Action. Let's go to that.
Everything's up. That's the easiest way to look at the sectors is
I mean, not everything. Believe it or not everything.
It's finance is struggling a bit. Retail, who needs
Industrials
retail? Who needs
are
to buy
still a little
things?
down.
Okay.
Some defensive names, some communication names aren't doing that great today.
We don't need communication. We need
We don't.
Teslas and
We need technology
whatever
and financial services.
Yeah, whatever Palantir does, that's what we need more of. New all-time highs for Palantir.
Remember yesterday how we were saying that what did we want to see in the stocks that were leading? Could we have some broadening out of the rally? We're seeing some of that today, right? Financial services, nice big move there. So let's go to the big banks, see how those are doing. And it's because of a big bank or not? Let's see. Visa, really nice move there in Visa. Goldman
Good quote.
Sachs
I like that.
up 1%, right?
Like that tack,
What
right?
you got here?
Just taxing, right? We take our gains, take our losses. We pat ourselves on the back for the gains. We kick a couple rocks for the losses, but then we move on, right? You're only as good as your next trade.
Yep. And sometimes it's about understanding when the getting's good too, and being a little patient, right? And being a little patient. That's what I'm doing right now with the Qs.
Yeah, this feels like we may have gotten. Sometimes days are like this where you've got one shot, right? They're going to give you that dip and they're going to give you that rip, and that's your shot to go in and make the money. Now we got to get some sort of, again, the healthiest thing in the world. It's a nice little pullback. It's a nice little rest, some sort of ways to get people back in. That is the best thing that we could possibly do. But I just don't know if it's going to get us that. So
remember yesterday I was talking about ASML, potential swing trade alert on this one, trying to play catch up with the semiconductor equipment stocks, and it's already making a nice move there, continuing on the day. I think this is a good one to look at, especially as you're seeing AVGO break new highs. You're seeing different ones break new highs. LRCX still pushing hard. They're looking good, those semiconductor equipment stocks. There the Qs just keeps going sideways. I'm looking for the quick pullback and then the rip higher. We'll see if we get that quick pullback here. Definitely hanging on. How's Hood?
Hood's looking well. Everything's looking pretty good right now. But Hood's doing good, and Bitcoin is still not participating in this rally, which I'm totally okay with. But Ethereum is, right, which is a nice little breakout of that base. We talked about that a little bit yesterday with Ethereum, and Solana on the move as well.
Those are like we got a Solana ETF yet?
I think it was approved. I'm just waiting for my Fartcoin ETF, and that's where I can I can get out of that finally. But huge again, just on these memes, a lot of these memes, not just mine. I'm up 70% this week on the Fartcoin. So
Ion Q, good bounce there, guys. I'm watching the Qs go higher. A little part of me eager to try to take this Ion Q.
Inside day in Circle. I am very impressed with Circle holding on to these gains.
Cat probably still adding.
Yeah, maybe just
the money managers, man. There's just a lot of size and coming in from bigger money. It's not. I don't even think it's retail. I think it's just money actually sized in there. That tells me that they're going to get dumped on sooner or later.
Oh, for sure. But if you compare this to a Newsmax or a Webull or something that had those IPOs ripped off the gate and then completely fell apart after that, the fact that it IPO'd, ripped out the gate, didn't fall apart, that's something that to me is very interesting, right? Again, relative strength, relative weakness, talk about it all the time. It's showing some relative strength. If you compare it to those more recent moves.
It's a perfect day to trade it too, right? I mean, if you're thinking this is a real breakout to the highs, this is good stock to trade it on. I think that 110 makes sense. Today, you saw the hold of the 15-minute. So if you're trying to trade it, that 110 area seems like to be a nice area. We'll see if it keeps going higher. It could rip out to like 150. I think it's one of those that I think will make like a new high and then start to come down, like kind of like a Beyond Meat when it first came out, right? It was super hot. It was ripping, and then eventually went all the way back down. That's the way I view this one. You give it a good area. IPOs matter a lot about what environment you're in. When Beyond Meat first came out, everyone was talking about the Impossible Burger and things like that, and this thing ripped higher. It actually ripped way higher when it first started. Right, the first 3 months, this went up. What? 432%. Pulled back all the way to the IPO, then pushed back all the way like it was going to break out, And this is when I really started calling the short around the 200s. And this thing just collapsed. You got to be careful.
The yeah, just the fall from grace of that one was crazy for me. The moment I knew it was a short is I actually was like, oh, you know what, screw it, I'll try it. Everyone's talking about it. Awful. Like, I'm all for it. Give me something that doesn't taste awful. That's a meat alternative. Sure, gives me that protein for lifting. I'm all good with. But yeah, it's not that.
Give me a good old bloody steak.
It's not. I need something. I need something to fuel the pipes.
Don't give me those no lab
gains.
meat now. Don't give me that lab meat. I don't know about you, Michael. I'm not about that lab meat.
I don't know, man. If it as long as it's just meat, like they tested it, there's no like
Are you
weird chemicals and stuff in it, I'm all in. I'd do it.
I don't know, man. I don't trust them. I don't trust if that whole thing happened with kind of COVID vaccines. I think I'll pass on the lab made meat.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm all
man.
in for those. I forget what is Regeneron that's got the myostatin inhibitor coming out. That's one I'm pumped for. Give me some Ozempic and a myostatin inhibitor. Oof. These things that they did animal trials and these monkeys are not doing anything and just getting jacked. Like, it's crazy.
I don't know about that, man.
I'm all in.
Oh, we're gonna have a
trial.
Whole bunch of steroid guys and a whole bunch of skinny guys on medicine.
Combine the two, right? You'll be skinny and ripped, and you don't have to take roids because you don't have. There's no hormone messing with. All good.
I don't trust science that much. That would be me.
See, that's the difference. I'm huge. Give me all the science.
Yeah, I don't trust.
As I talk to you through the power of the internet.
Yeah, I don't trust the regulatory bodies.
Oh, I don't trust your regulatory bodies. I wait for it to come up here. I trust mine.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, man. my trust more candidates than our own. But yeah, we'll see what happens here. Q's just kind of hanging out. It's going sideways. And we went right into that trend line where we went sideways, right? So we broke through it, but we haven't continued the momentum. I think you got to wait here. I think you got to be looking at bigger time frames at this point. It makes sense for the 15-minute pullback. That's just what I see. So I'm going to ride that and look to see if we get a continued higher low on the 15 minutes. That could also just mean the higher, just the trend just continuing to push, right? So can we break that? Can we go back into that range closer to it, which would be 535, 29s? Looks like we're just hanging out here.
But any consolidations like this, any hanging out, I look at this just bullish action, right? Because it means that people are not using those opportunities to go. They're not selling into the rallies. They're just waiting. They're chilling. That's what bull flags are. Oh, Palantir.
New highs.
As a Palantir shareholder, I love this. Even though I had a buddy, I told you I got a buddy in U.S. military intelligence. I was like, explain to me what these guys do. And I got bored like 10 minutes in. He just went on and on and on. I'm like, okay. He's like, yeah, it's like AI for killing people. I'm like, all right, I'm in. just that you could have summed it up like that. And I guess you can tour. He was telling me you can go tour their facilities. Talk about content, man. Two of us going. They have like a whole day you can go and do a Palantir facility tour, and they give you a badge and drive you around and all kinds of crazy stuff. So, good content.
The euphoria keeps going. I don't know if I believe that it should be at 138, but I mean, who cares what I believe in that sense? It's just gonna keep going, guys. I can't trade this thing. I can't. I could only like kind of day trade it here. I know some people were opening up swing positions here, and I'm just like, I can't do it.
New all-time highs. There's there's a couple really well documented strategies of stocks that you basically buy new 52 or new all-time highs, and you essentially just buy new all-time highs if your typical oscillators are not overbought. So like your RSI is not overbought, your stochastic's not overbought, that kind of thing. Which essentially just represents there was some sort of basing action before the all-time high break.
Yeah. New high on the daily for Hood. All right. And E continuing, man. That just up there to almost 35 now. So glad I traded that at least. Great trade. Not going to be mad about it. Might have wanted it in the swing trade account, but that's just me being picky, right? Like, would love to still keep a piece. But that's just me looking back, hindsight 2020. Not going to be mad because I got Grail and just keep riding that trade. As long as it can continue holding the lows today, I'm going to continue riding this. It's been at the point where I could just take all the money and run. But I really wanted to get towards the 45. It just makes sense for that bigger breakout through the 45. We'll see if we actually get the chance. Q's just stair stepping, but don't want to really lift off here. So I think that we just continue to watch. There's going to be some kind of ramp up here, but it could take till 12, right? It could just be on a hour sideways kind of move here. But I think that it's not coming back towards those lows, right? Not quickly coming back. It's a good sign. Still bullish on the day. And still looking out for more China comments. I need to go ahead and take a look here. I haven't even gotten a chance to look around.
I've been watching our boy Walter hangs out over here. That's why I'm looking this way, and he's not saying it. So Besant was, and that's
hold on. We should have gone long. Jamie Dimon warned the U.S. economy.
Thank God that guy doesn't take his market's opinions into his running, because he's an amazing CEO of the company, but just horrible at this. Like, just the end of the world.
You can't make it up, man. You can't make it up, guys. You can't. Sometimes, like, this guy just, I don't know. Does he just not like America?
There's a lot of those. There's a lot of those out there. I find I'm more like bullish on America as the guy outside of America than a lot of Americans I know that are always looking for the end of the world. But man, yeah, thank God he's good. I'm just looking at JP Morgan stock price. He's a great CEO. Stock's doing amazing, but so hopefully his thoughts on the market aren't, moving anything based off what he's doing inside of his company, because it's kind of like that the Burry guy, right? He always, every time he pops up, he's like, it's the end of the world, and then you see his 13F of his portfolio and he just owns a bunch of stocks, and it's like, okay, so he's, some of these guys talk the talk, but then they just don't show it up in their money. It's why
it's important to listen to what they're doing versus what they're saying, right? It's a good perspective to look into always, guys.
Anyone can say. It's why I don't like surveys either. It's why I'm so big on like the positioning data, right? Looking at the where are people located, right? We know they're not very long right here. I don't care what you say. I don't care what the sentiment survey says. I don't care any of this. Show me real data, because people can say whatever they want. Doesn't mean it's true, and it doesn't mean it's what they're actually doing. The amount of people out there that are bearish on the economy, but yet still every 2 weeks taking some of their paycheck, putting in their 401k, that's dumping it into the SPY. It's show me what you do with your money. That's going to be the ultimate decider of what I think you think about things, not what you yap about on the news.
All right, getting a chance high on Q coming back down here. I think a 41 time makes sense now. Now you're washing out those 9 EMA buyers, right? So look for signs of some stocks that are doing similar to that, where they'll wash the short-term trend traders. And now I'm looking for pullbacks a little bit further, but getting closer towards buying opportunities for me.
So no, this Besant guy must still be speaking. We are suffering from a budget blowout under Biden. So that's him. We joked with this earlier, blaming everything bad happening on the last guy, then everything good happening. So he must still, I don't know where they're getting this from, but he must be talking, because if you go to Walter's Twitter stream, it's just all this guy. So
let's see where Besant's talking
so
right now. I can probably
maybe pay attention to, sometimes I'm just looking at the market and then looking at this stream, and it's the market's consolidating. So that tells me that he's probably chatting somewhere. And he's going to get.
He's he's testifying in front of the Treasury Department.
Got it. So when he stops, that's when the market might resolve higher or lower, right? So quite often you see these big guys talk, like the market pauses, like they're worried that they're going to say something to screw something up. And then when they leave, like, watch the next time J-Pow is up there speaking. Like, as he walks off stage, you see the market start to trend again, because it's like, okay, now we can now we can do the thing knowing that he's not going to say, one sentence that's going to cause everyone to sell everything.
Yeah, that's what you're really concerned about. Here, I'm going to share a little bit of it as we get out of here in about 9 minutes.
It's apparent effort to have an omnibus information sharing agreement with agencies. Do you agree that
you guys see it?
cannot share taxpayer
See what
data
happens there.
without statutory authorization from this Congress, and you don't have any for that purpose?
We will follow the direction of the regulations and the court, sir.
Are you sharing any taxpayer information with DOJ for this omnibus information sharing agreement where they seem to probe into the privacy of every American?
Dun, dun, dun. All right, some buys coming in the queues, guys. So looking to take some trades here. Alster could still be a scalp higher. It's just continuing to ride the trend there. And NE starting the pullback. I'm looking for a pullback to 33s on that. And I'm looking for trades out there. I think this is exactly the time when you start to look at those types of trades. How did Webull end up doing? There he goes, holding it decently. It didn't end up doing bad. I was buying it at 11.14, so that could start to catch up a little bit. I'm just looking around for those types of trades. IonQ doesn't look too bad on the VWAP here. With the Qs going higher, could risk off this low candle right here and look for it to go right back to the upside. Had a couple of pullbacks. Let's see if it starts to take off here. IonQ.
Mr. Smith,
I'm getting
Mr. Chairman, and
hearing myself an echo. I don't know if dream is or not.
I've not been around here as long as Mr. Neal has, but
Not sure. I don't think you should be getting an echo.
Perspective
But
I think is relevant.
maybe.
Ever since you started
We
streaming
can
there.
argue about
Yeah,
CPO.
it could
I
just
can
be
go on
your. Yeah, it could just be your
It's an
background
imperfect system.
there.
And I think that's
Coming from my
manifested
ears,
itself in
you
various
and my
hits and
ears. So
misses
that might be it.
on
I can
projection,
shift
whether
it
goes all the
too
way
if
back
we need to,
the
but
original
there's really
parts
not
of
much being talked
cost
about.
of Medicare
He's just trying to push him on Doge.
way underestimated, or whether it was the structure of a more market.
Yeah, I'm just more interested when he leaves.
Yeah,
I think that's where
this,
the
this
will
has some
happen.
times. This has some time to go to, and he's going to be talking for a while now. So I think it's going to be probably towards after 11. So I'm just waiting for that too. I'm with you. I'm just waiting. I want to take some trades, but at the same time, don't want to push too much when he's not doing much. So 1, 2, 3. If this could go bullish, I could take the shot on IonQ, but we'll see what happens there. That's just one name that I'm keeping an eye on here.
Well, yeah, we were talking about a cup and handle here, and it just looks like this is kind of more of an extension of that, right? This is what I was talking about. I bet you he started yapping or testifying or answering questions. Something probably occurred right here. That's why the market just kind of paused. And again, you'll see this all the time. Just a big name politician steps up, starts yapping. The market goes, okay.
Yeah.
It's more of just a let's make sure he doesn't say anything that interrupts the trend. And then when he leaves, the trend can persist. But this to me, this was a little cup and handle. This to me looks like a much bigger cup and handle where you've got the sell off that happens early. Now we're right back up. And we've just been, candle is 10:26 and nearly a half hour of this kind of sideways action, this chill out action. Again, I think any tight consolidations like this are overall bullish and should be treated as such. We're just waiting until this range resolves, and it could be an after lunch thing, right? It could be a little bit pop up or pop down. But I think until this range resolves, we got it's 11 here, so we're getting close to that lunchtime hour where we could just be whipping around this range for a while and then a full breakout.
It could be like an hour or two of this sideways. But what I'm seeing though is also the Qs are continuing. So just try to find the ones that are continuing right now. If the Qs continue in this shape, right, this pattern where it's just on the 90 MA continuing to grind higher, and they could just not come back to the VWAP and just continue to stair step. So I think you find those names that are continuing to stair step higher, and that's what I would be looking at.
No, 100% agree. I think when the market pauses like this, it's a good time to do the work and have your list and build your list, set your levels, set your alerts, all that kind of stuff. And then, when the SPY breaks out, then you're like, okay, well, at least I'm buying the strongest stuff. I'm out of the weakest stuff. If we break down, then I'm shorting the weakest stuff.
I'll give you some trades before we get out of here, guys. UMAC, AUR, Hood. Those are all doing well in the last 10 minutes. So I'm just doing a little scan here, right? And I can adjust this for only the last 10 minutes. What has been doing well? Bros to the upside. GSRT really taking off, guys. This is was swing that I'm a little annoyed. I don't have a bigger piece in. It's starting to break towards the 11. This looks great. Got more news on, of course, a nuclear player that's coming into this. Really good action there. I know a friend that has a nice investment in this one. So I'm just going to push for him to make the money, and we'll see what happens there in GSRT, but that's looking well. And NE continuing strong in the last kind of 10 minutes, kind of just sideways. And so those are the names that I'm looking at. What is up in the last 10 minutes and trying to stay with those. HIMS taking off to the upside. Good looking trade there on HIMS. Bros pushing. Pony starting to reverse. TEM going green. So I try to stay with those names that are hot right now instead of the names that are kind of pulling back at this time. Look at CrowdStrike breaking a new high. AMD trying to catch a little bit of a low and rip back to the upside. We'll see what happens there. But definitely some stocks still staying strong, and just got to find those that are in the strength right now. Don't push if your stocks is falling fast, right? Like IonQ for me, I wanted this trade, but it's just dropping too fast here. 41 would be maybe the attempt to recover, but look how quickly it dropped there with the market going up, right? So essentially a divergence. That's not what you want to see right now. You want to see your stock moving with the market, and that could lead to higher gains. All right, Michael, any last words for the traders out there before we get out of here?
Real quick. Let me move here. Just show, because this is just something we were talking about earlier, just real quick. This is the amount of pre-market volume over the years, since 2019, right here to 2025. So you can see this nice steady increase in the amount of things being traded pre-market. So just like I remember we were having that chat this morning, saw this come by the screen just to show, this is it's picking up more and more, right? So make sure you're doing a little bit of work, maybe looking at some strategies that you can take advantage of some of this. Huge volume. Now, a lot of this, right, this big spike right here, this was the tariff stuff, right? But even if that normalizes and comes back to here, still a nice upward kind of trajectory here on pre-market volume. So just something cool that I saw while I was trying to see what's going to finally break us out here.
All right, guys, I'm throwing up the link here for our competition, of course, that's taking off on the 16th. To go ahead and join, of course, the one team, one account trading competition, 6/16 through the 18th, 675,000 in prizes and more, and you don't want to miss out on this one. It's going to be fun, guys. All the discussion and ideas and strategies will happen in our Discord. But if you want to see everything unfold in real time, you got to be right here live on YouTube, guys. We're having a giveaway. Also, 20 evaluation accounts, including everyone who participates, will get some type of prize. So definitely check it out, guys. We're going to go live every day from 9 a.m. all the way until 1600 or 4 p.m. You might even get invited to join us on the stream, live with camera and voice. So get ready. Sign up now. The link is in the description. Also right there in the chat. One account, one mission, one for all, guys. We'll see you guys there. Smash the like, and we'll be ready to manage some accounts there. But Michael Noss and I are going to be getting after it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the way we do things, right? You guys see really two perspectives. We try to give you a lot to learn from, and I hope that you guys are learning, because that's our number one. Of course, we love for you guys to make money. Money comes and goes, though. I think Michael and I would always say that. There's going to be wins and losses. The key is finding some consistency, guys. We'll see you guys back, like always, right here tomorrow. Keep battling out there. We'll see what happens. And will we get some China comments? Maybe potentially. Maybe potentially. We'll see what happens.
China.